Chapter 52. Lu Cheng's heart ached for the girl's pain, but he was thousands of miles away and couldn't do anything. He wanted to comfort her, but he didn't know how to express it. After all, it was a private topic, so he was a little anxious, like a beast trapped in a small room, unable to find an exit. At this moment, he had a flash of inspiration. He quickly logged out of QQ and logged into the computer, sending an emoji of smashing its own head with a brick. I really didn't expect this. I've never come into contact with such things before. I've only seen it in health textbooks, some miscellaneous books, and some discussions. After sending this message, he opened his phone and dialed Kai Zongming's number, asking for talkers outside guidance. Beep, beep, beep. When Yenjika's reply appeared, Kai Zongming also picked up the phone. Hello, Cheng. Talker, I have something to ask you. Lu Cheng went straight to the point without any pleasantries. At the same time, his eyes were fixed on the computer screen, seeing Yenjika's sneering emoji. It would be strange if you were familiar with it. Lu Cheng held the phone in one hand and typed with one finger with the other. He asked casually, are girls especially in pain at this time? On the phone, Kai Zongming sneered. What happened? You asked me in such a hurry, it must have something to do with your goddess. Good thing you didn't call me in the middle of the night, or I'll strangle you. Ha! Lu Cheng laughed dryly. Let me ask you, when a girl is not feeling well and it's not too serious, how should I express my concern? Yenjika's thing was a private matter, so it couldn't be told to other men. At this time, Yenjika replied, it depends on the person's physique. Some people are in so much pain that it lasts for a few days before it weakens. Some people feel nothing and can continue to drink cold drinks. For me, it was very painful on the first day, but I was fine on the second day. Lu Cheng typed again with his finger and was about to say that if it was very painful, drinking hot water could relieve the pain. Hey, how to express concern in this situation varies from person to person, but there's one thing that can't be said, that is, don't let a girl drink hot water. Kai Zongming's tone was full of interest. Lu Cheng stopped typing and deleted all the content he had typed. He added, I'm still too naive to think that it's the same. While typing, he asked in bewilderment, why can't I say drink hot water? I think it's quite effective. Besides, she's spending the new year in Jiangnan province, which is more than 1,000 kilometers away from me. I have no other choice. There are actually many answers to this question on the internet, but I don't think they are enough to get to the essence. Since we are friends, I'll teach you the Kai family's insights for free. Kai Zongming pretended to be a good teacher. The essence of drinking hot water is how attentive you are. That is to say, girls don't look at what you say, what you answer, or what you do. Instead, they look at how attentive you are, how serious you are, and how concerned you are. That is the crux of the problem. Lu Cheng was perplexed. Say it more clearly. I don't quite understand. At this time, Yenjika replied, you've never had a female deskmate feel uncomfortable in high school? Everyone feels uncomfortable sometimes. Lu Cheng sent an innocent emoji and didn't have the ability to type more words. At the other end of the phone, Kai Zongming explained, think about it. How long did you spend thinking and how much energy did you use to say the words drink hot water? It happened in the blink of an eye. I almost said it when I thought of it. Lu Cheng seemed to understand. Kai Zongming laughed and said, fortunately, you called me in time. You see, caring about a girl by drinking hot water doesn't even cost you a few brain cells. It doesn't even waste your time. Don't you think it's too perfunctory? Isn't it because you're not attentive enough? Got it. Lu Cheng suddenly understood. Kai Zongming clicked his tongue and said, you're worth teaching. So, even if you spend some brain cells to find a joke to tell a girl to divert her attention, it's still better than saying, drink hot water. Whether she laughs or not is another matter. At least she can see that you're trying to find something and not just saying perfunctory words. Since you understand the essence, isn't it easy to care about her? What's important is not what you say or do, but showing your attentiveness and attention in the process. For example, what is the most attentiveness and attention? Book a plane ticket immediately, spend a night flying there, and show up at her door early the next morning. If her condition is not better, take her to the hospital and take care of her. If her condition is better, bring her some of her favorite breakfast and cook for her in the kitchen. Of course, if you don't have a certain degree of relationship, you have to be careful when you use it. If she has no money, you have to be even more careful when you use it. Damn, Casanova, listening to your words is better than 10 years of books. Lu Qing listened carefully and praised while looking at the content on the computer screen. Yenjika replied, "Are you guys all so slow? When I was in number 1 middle school, there was a girl in my class who had her period. Her face was very pale, but her deskmate didn't notice it at all. He even wanted her to continue bringing breakfast for him. I always bring breakfast for people." Lu Qing typed one letter after another. Hearing his praise, Kai Zhongming snorted and said, "I've already taught you the essence of the mental cultivation method of the Kai family. As for how to use it, it depends on your comprehension. That's all I can help you with." Lu Qing sincerely shouted, "Hey! Talker! You're my idol. Get lost. Don't think you can get away with such a praise. Treat me to a big meal when school starts." Kai Zhongming said, fiercely, and hung up the phone. Putting down the phone, Lu Qing saw that Yenjika had not replied. He realized that the content he sent while talking on the phone and chatting on QQ seemed to be a little perfunctory. He immediately added, "After hearing what you said, I seem to understand one thing. It's a problem that has been bothering me for a long time." This was indeed an inspiration from the content on Yenjika's previous post. However, there were too many words and it was not suitable for a finger gesture. "What's the matter?" Yenjika replied with a puzzled emoji. Lu Qing sent a shocked emoji and said, "Once, my deskmate seemed to be very uncomfortable. She asked for sick leave and went home after class. The girl behind me helped her and tied her own clothes around her waist. I was puzzled at that time. I said that my deskmate was cold and needed clothes to keep her warm. Why did she tie the clothes around her waist and hang down to her thighs? What's the use of it? When the girl behind me came back from sending her off, I asked her about it. She just rolled her eyes at me. I didn't understand until today. So it was that. The clothes were to cover the traces. It should be like what the advertisement said, penetrating, haha. It's good that I didn't scold you." Yenjika replied. Lu Qing saw that his topic seemed to cheer her up a little and became more confident. He asked according to Little Ming's theory, "Is your stomach still very painful?" "Yes." Yenjika answered briefly. Lu Qing sent a smiling emoji and said, "I know a way to help you relieve the pain." "What's the way?" Yenjika sent a surprised emoji. Lu Qing replied, "The great diversion method. As long as you don't think about the stomachache, you won't feel too bad. Although I don't think it will work very well, let's give it a try. Who knows? What are you going to use to divert my attention?" Yenjika sent a pitiful emoji. Lu Qing thought for a while and said, "I'll sacrifice myself and tell you my embarrassing story." "Ha, how embarrassing." Yenjika sent an emoji of a cute cat waiting for food. At the beginning of September, when the military training was held, those who performed well in formation and marching would participate in the final report performance, right? Little Ming deliberately walked very badly. After being punished by the instructor several times, he still didn't get better. As a junior, he was kicked out of the performance team and began to take on the heavy responsibility of carrying food, washing pots and sweeping the floor. He didn't need to train and could hide in the shade of a tree to have a rest. After that, I was led astray by him. When the instructor was selecting people, I deliberately walked poorly and failed to be selected. Then I joined the logistics team. Lu Qing typed one sentence after another so as not to distract Yenjika's attention from the stomachache again if the interval between typing was too long. And then, This will only make people envious, not embarrassing. Yenjika asked. Lu Qing sent a sad face emoji. After a few days of happy days, the instructor gathered us together and took us to another toilet. He said there were too many classes living in this camp and it was dirty inside. Those who didn't participate in the report performance had to work harder and do more cleaning. Little Ming and I went in and almost vomited. Yenjika sent a laughing emoji. That's for being lazy. Now you know what retribution is. Lu Qing replied with a crying emoji. When we came out to take a few breaths of fresh air, the instructor said proudly that the quality of the students in Songqing University was good, unlike the students in the previous school who thought the toilets were dirty and settled in the ponds and bushes behind. I asked them to pick up and sweep the floor by themselves. Before he finished, Little Ming and I really vomited. Luckily, we didn't vomit. So disgusting. We girls took turns to carry food and sweep the floor. We paid more attention. Fortunately. Yenjika sent an emoji with blinking eyes. It seems to be useful to divert attention. Any other embarrassing stories? Lu Qing racked his brains and picked out the embarrassing moments from his childhood that didn't affect his image. He told her one by one, which made Yenjika very interested and happy. She seemed to have forgotten part of her pain. Qing, any more? Yenjika was like Lu Qing, who always listened to his mother's stories when he was a child. Lu Qing's mind went blank. He felt that he had said all he could. After thinking hard again, he said, no more. Shall we use other ways to divert attention? Yenjika sent a smiling emoji. My stomach doesn't hurt that much. I can try to sleep. When I wake up tomorrow, I'll be a good man again. Qing, can you sing? Sing me a song. I'll fall asleep listening to it. This was a rare request from Yenjika. Lu Qing said without hesitation, yes. Although it's not very nice, at least it's not out of tune. Which one do you want to listen to? After sending the message, he logged out of QQ and logged in with his mobile phone. You choose. Yenjika sent a sneering emoji. Lu Qing thought for a while and opened the voice message. He blurted out, twinkle twinkle little star, the sky is full of little stars, haha, you're so funny. Go on. Yenjika replied with a voice message. She was obviously in a good mood. Stars in the sky. Lu Qing suddenly changed the melody. Join the Big Dipper. Pfft. Yenjika sent a, I'm dying of laughter, emoji. The song echoed in the room one after another. After a long time, Yenjika said, Qing, I'm very happy today. Good night, see you tomorrow. Lu Qing said with a smile and sent a voice message. Yenjika replied with a voice message. She said in a joking and commercial tone, Big baby, see you every day. Even if this wasn't enough to explain much, Lu Qing was still very happy. A smile filled his face. Hee, see you every day. Right, what's today's date? I'll write it down in my little notebook. This is the key information. After Yenjika fell asleep, he laughed for a long time and suddenly came to himself. Damn! There's a competition tomorrow. I still have a lot of martial arts videos to watch. Chapter 53. Lu Qing found a bunch of videos and combined them with the information. He watched them intently, dissecting, analyzing and reorganizing them in his mind. Half an hour later, he shook his head tiredly and tapped on the table, muttering to himself, there are too many videos. It's impossible to watch them all. But I don't know which ones are the most important and representative. The listening skill required one to meditate and be absolutely focused. It consumed a lot of mental energy and wasn't something the Jin Dan could make up for. Therefore, after the fight with Wu Shitong, Lu Qing, who had been racking his brains to chat, felt sleepy. While in a dilemma, he suddenly had an idea. He opened the favorites folder and entered the forum of Longhu Club. Road to the arena, Zhou Yuaning would definitely do the same if he were to look for his opponent's battle videos. With so much relevant content available, he was very likely to ask for help from the humanoid database, Unparalleled Dragon King, for his opinion. Zhou Yuaning could secretly learn from him. In the live broadcast post of the Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament, when Invincible Punch announced that Lu Cheng was one of the opponents of Road to the Arena in the group stage, the viewers who were not interested in his match videos before were filled with the desire to participate. Master Road, it's time to wash away the shame of our forum. Don't be a hooligan, sent an emoji with a red scarf around its head. Beautiful World replied that Lu Cheng dared to bully our little fist. Now it's time for him to pay for what he did. Outspoken also said, I was very upset when I saw Lu Cheng win against Woody. Master Road, you have to teach him a lesson. Uncle Road to the Arena, can I take a picture with my new idol before the fight? I can't see his face in the previous fight highlights. Brahman said excitedly. The moderator, Pig Riding Knight, sent an emoji knocking on the head again. You little guy, how dare you side with an outsider? Pig Riding Uncle, I didn't. You wronged me. Look at my wronged eyes. I just want to take a picture with Uncle Road to the Arena. I still support him to win. My new idol is not as good as a professional 9th pin fighter. Brahman sent a crying emoji. I'm also a member of the forum. I can't be biased. Lu Cheng wiped his bitter tears and browsed through the many replies supporting Road to the Arena to defeat him. He saw the suggestion offered by Unparalleled Dragon King at the end. Master Road, I've browsed through the Warrior Sage Challenge Tournament's official website and found that Wang Yi from your group is very strong. His iron palm can be said to be unstoppable. Among the professional 9th pin fighters, he's not an ordinary one. I have a few related videos here. Take a look, you should learn something. Road to the Arena immediately sent a handshake emoji. Old Dragon, I was just about to ask you about this. Damn it, the people upstairs are just a bunch of big water brushes. You can't expect them to come up with a plan. Hee hee, I'm also waiting. Lu Cheng opened the videos one by one. He paused and buffered them first before continuing to watch the discussions that followed. Unparalleled Dragon King said with a funny expression, I'm just an armchair strategist. I don't have as much combat experience as you, Master Road, but I can still help you find information. Old Dragon, what do you think about my chances of winning against Wang Yi? Road to the Arena hadn't participated in a competition for many years. After suddenly encountering a strong opponent of professional 9th pin, he seemed to be a little nervous. According to Lu Cheng's judgment, 28 was the best he could do. Road to the Arena 2-8, Wang Yi 8. But he was watching the video, so he didn't want to pretend to be an onlooker and express his opinion. He had to silently wait for Unparalleled Dragon King to reply. Probably 37. My personal opinion is not accurate. I also think 37. A plumber eating mushrooms chimed in. Pig Riding Knight, the moderator of the forum, also said, you've been idle for several years. It's already very good that you can have a 37 ratio with Wang Yi, a professional 9th pin fighter. I know. Alas, if I met him in my heyday. Road to the Arena sighed. How do you think I should fight with him? Pig Riding Knight said, of course you should play to the strength of Wuthering 8 movements. You should use your graceful and agile footwork to fight. Even if he catches a chance, you should be able to block a few of his attacks with the outbreak of Horrible Hurricane, right? As long as you delay, you will lose if you keep defending. Then your chance will come. Lu Cheng nodded slightly. This was also the way he planned to fight. But with Wang Ye's terrifying iron palm, even if he used Mega Avalanche and Lightning and Fire stance, he would not be able to block more than a few of his attacks. Alas, this was also the helplessness of the weak in the situation where the gap between their strength was too big. Road to the Arena also replied with a helpless sigh. If I was in my heyday, I would have no problem fighting like this. But now, my strength is very low, and I have been fighting for 4 days. Today there are 2 matches in 1 day. I will lose if I can't wait for Wang Yi. Master Road, to tell you the truth, don't take it to heart. Just listen to me. Well, strategically give up the match with Wang Yi and save your energy for the last match. The key for you to enter the top 16 is not Wang Yi, but Lu Cheng and Tang Yu, replied Unparalleled Dragon King. Well, after reading this sentence, Lu Cheng realized how stupid he was. He had never thought of giving up the match with Wang Yi. He had never considered that once he was injured by the iron palm, the following matches would be a gift to his opponent. Although he was not injured today, his wrist that was pinched by Wu Shitong still hurt faintly. If he was hit by the iron palm, it would be unimaginable. Strategically giving up seems to be a good idea. With this thought, Lu Cheng was like being tempted by the devil. He almost decided that tomorrow was just a formality and a pretense. But at this moment, he remembered why he did not consider this at the beginning. I came here to experience the competition. The prize money is good, and I am eager for it. But this is not my most fundamental purpose. Is it wrong to give up when facing a professional 9th pin fighter? Shouldn't I rack my brains and play to my strengths? Even if I lose, I have to lose beautifully. Only in this way can I detect my shortcomings, learn from the competition experience, temper my own martial arts, and accumulate nutrients for future progress. Not bullying the weak, not yielding to the strong. Without the spirit of a fighter, how can I overcome the difficulties in cultivation one after another? After thinking about it for a while, Lu Cheng exhaled and showed a relaxed smile. 1 match at a time. Tomorrow I will concentrate on the fight with Wang Yi and not think about the following matches. I am so stupid. After making the decision, he calmed down and looked down at the road to the arena's reply. Old dragon, I know you are right. As long as I can beat Tang Yu and Lu Cheng, it doesn't matter whether I win or not. I can still enter the top 16. It is better to strategically give up and save my strength to increase the odds of winning the last match. However, although I like to boast, be a little arrogant, and have no perseverance, I always consider myself as a fighter. As a martial artist, fighting with a strong enemy is something that makes one's blood boil and fascinates. I will fight with Wang Yi well. Lu Cheng sighed with emotion. He did not expect the boastful road to the arena to have such a side. Fighter is really a wonderful word. Master Road, I understand. That is why I am an amateur and you are a professional fighter. Unparalleled Dragon King said. Road to the Arena replied with a funny expression, the main reason is that the top 16 only get 5,000 yuan. If there were dozens of millions of yuan, I might strategically give up. Lu Cheng was amused and almost laughed out loud. But if the top 16 get dozens of millions of yuan, even a fighter of professional 8th pin would not dare to expect to enter the top 16, because there would be stronger fighters. What kind of position could lead to what kind of temptation? As an amateur, he did not need to consider so much. A plumber eating mushrooms said, Master Road, I didn't like to call you that before. Now I sincerely admire you. Fight with Wang Yi well. Whether you win or lose, I will toast you with a bottle of wine when we meet in the future. Now, let's talk about Tang Yu and Lu Cheng. Hee, I feel like we are gathering our wisdom and experience to break through. I am gathering wisdom and experience with Yan Zhika. I won't argue with you. Lu Cheng complained. Tang Yu is good at the shape of divine elephant. He is tall and heavy, has amazing leg strength and terrifying collision. It is absolutely right to treat him as the weak Wang Yi. Pig riding knight joined in the discussion. As for Lu Cheng, I have watched 2 videos of his matches and found that his most fundamental strengths are 2. One is his amazing talent in meditation. According to you in the arena, he has reached the level of great success in meditation. The other is his abnormal physical strength. It may be related to supernatural ability, or it may be because of his talent. Uncle Pig Riding Knight's analysis is right. All the martial arts strength that Lu Cheng has shown is based on these two aspects. For example, the condensation stance and yin-yang stance developed from meditation are the roots of the listening skill and the adjustment of the center of gravity. Supported by abnormal physical strength, they cast the madness and fierceness of 24 blizzard strikes. Unparalleled Dragon King agreed. Road to the arena sent a thoughtful expression. It seems that to defeat Lu Cheng, we have to start from these two aspects. This kind of physical strength monster will become more and more powerful as the match progresses. It is not that he is stronger, but that we are weaker. Yes, use abrupt force and not give him the opportunity to use the listening skill and to use the force to return. Use the body movement of Wuthering 8 movements to reduce his range of motion and force him to fight head-on. Don't let him delay time. A plumber eating mushrooms replied. Pig Riding Knight, the moderator of the forum, added, if he uses 24 blizzard strikes to attack instead of defense, then use tornado wind and horrible hurricane to fight head-on. Don't give him a chance to rise. This is the lesson of Little Punch. Combined with reducing the range of motion, try to end the battle in a short time. Watching them discussing how to deal with him, Lu Cheng felt it was ridiculous and funny. Since he had to focus on the battle with Wang Yi tomorrow, he didn't think too much about it. He just silently wrote down the content in the notebook on the computer. He would think about it later. Feeling mentally exhausted, Lu Cheng forced himself to finish watching the video, took a shower and went to bed. The next day, he got up on time and went to the small park nearby. He began to practice today's fighting style against Wang Yi. It would be more extreme than yesterday's. Guarding his spirit and entering a state of tranquility, Lu Cheng visualized the nebula in his dantian and felt its slow rotation. Then he adjusted every inch of his muscles and felt the gradual shift of his center of gravity. Normally, when exerting force, the center of gravity was relatively still and stable. But in today's battle, Lu Cheng wanted to keep the center of gravity in a moving state, sacrificing a certain degree of exertion in exchange for more unpredictable footwork and body movements. Only by fully utilizing one of his strengths could he have a chance to compete with Wang Yi. His center of gravity was like Mercury, swaying and rolling. After getting familiar with this feeling, Lu Cheng moved his feet and adjusted his muscles all the time. Even when he punched or kicked, he still kept the center of gravity swaying and could complete the change of direction at any time. This kind of fighting style was too much for Lu Cheng's physical strength. After 1 or 2 minutes, he had to rely on the Jindan to replenish his energy. His spirit was also damaged, but it was relatively better. At 7:30, he felt his head was numb, so he wisely stopped the practice and returned to the hotel. First, he sent a morning greeting to Yan Zhike and told her that he had gotten up in the morning to train for the battle with Wang Yi. Now he needed to sleep to recover his spirit for the battle in the afternoon. Even if he lost, he would not be upset at all. In the afternoon, at 1:30, dark clouds hung over the city and the cold wind whistled. Many people gathered in Yanling Martial Arts Gym, which was much livelier than before. Lu Cheng, wearing the Songqing University Martial Arts Club's white uniform with black edges, stepped through the gate in high spirits. This would be the first time for him to challenge a professional ninth pin expert. Chapter 54. As soon as he entered the gate, the decibel level in Lu Cheng's ears skyrocketed. All kinds of noises came from all directions and converged in the air above the martial arts arena. Along with the heat wave, the noise spread to every corner. Looking up, he saw that the usually empty stands were filled with people. Crowds continued to gather in different aisles. It was much livelier than the previous 5 rounds of knockout matches. According to the number of seats in Yanling Martial Arts Arena and the remaining seats, Lu Cheng estimated that there were at least 8,000 people in the audience today. Once there were more than 10,000 people, it was boundless. 8,000 people also had a similar effect. Lu Cheng secretly clicked his tongue and felt that he was sinking into the sea, becoming small and insignificant. In some places suitable for filming, cameras had been set up. Some were aimed at the arena, some were filming the audience, and some were following the reporters. Unconsciously, they set up a formal and solemn atmosphere. In the group stage, Yanling TV station didn't do live broadcasts. Instead, they used shooting clips and broadcasting highlights, so there was no commentator yet. Reporters had to randomly interview the fighters, the audience, and the organizers. After the top 16, the key battles would be broadcasted to everyone in Yanling. Seeing such a grand scene, Lu Qing didn't want to be bothered by trifles. He slipped into a corner and went to the fighters' locker room to meet the staff. "Mr. Lu, your match is in the third round. Before and after that, you can choose to watch the match from the guest seats in the stands or stay in the locker room to watch the big screen." Seeing that Lu Qing still looked like a student, the staff didn't know whether to call him Mr. Lu or Mr. Lu. Lu Qing thought for a while and said, "I'll take a rest in the locker room." The way he was going to fight later was a great burden on his physical strength and mental strength. He had to be highly concentrated and wait patiently. "Then I'll call you when the time is right." The staff smiled and left the locker room. The other fighters were either in the stands or had failed and left. The locker room was empty except for Lu Qing. The hubbub of people outside set off the quietness. Lu Qing enjoyed this feeling. He sat in the middle of the metal bench and took out his phone to reply to Yan Zhika's message. "I'm already at the martial arts arena. I'm sitting in the changing room." "Oh right, your stomach doesn't hurt anymore, right?" Yan Zhika replied with a shu emoji, "Not bad. Compared to yesterday, I feel like I've been through fire and water." "Qing, according to your description, the next move will be very tiring. Let's not chat anymore and take the time to rest." "Yeah, you don't have to cheer for me today." Lu Qing sent a funny emoji. Yan Zhika replied, "Are you worried that it won't work even if we try our best?" No. It's rare for me to fight with a professional ninth pin expert. I need to show my true strength so that I can find my weaknesses and make up for them. If you do your best, won't you double your fake strength?" Lu Qing replied with a snicker. Yan Zhika replied with a tearful expression, "You are so honest." "Of course." Lu Qing unknowingly put on his signature smile. Yan Zhika sent an emoji of looking at the sky in a daze. "If that's the case, then I wish you all the best. Why do these words sound so familiar?" Lu Qing asked with a puzzled expression. Yan Zhika replied with a snicker emoji, "I heard it when the principal was giving a speech last time." Pfft. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. He knew that Yan Zhika was trying to lighten the atmosphere and dispel his nervousness. So he sent a struggling emoji and said, "Fortunately, the principal didn't give a speech for the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. Don't worry, my goal today is to prove what I've learned. If I win, I'll be ecstatic. If I lose, I'll have no regrets." Yan Zhika sent a touching head emoji and said, "Then I'll give you another sentence. My grandfather often said to my cousin, 'Enjoy the battle, enjoy the martial arts. Enjoy the battle, enjoy the martial arts.'" Lu Qing silently read these words and sent a waving emoji. He logged out of QQ and closed his eyes to rest and maintain his mental state. After some time, someone knocked on the door of the locker room. He opened his eyes and saw the staff member coming in. "Mr. Lu, it's your turn soon." The staff member made a gesture of invitation. Lu Qing patted his white martial arts suit with black edges and stood up. He took a deep breath and stepped out of the locker room. In front of him was the towering dome, the dark mass of heads and the arena where all the lights were concentrated. On the stand, Lu Yinglong, Qin Jilin and the other disciples of Baiyuan Martial Arts School came again. "Senior brother, why are you here to watch Lu Cheng's match again? Haven't you learned what you should watch?" Qin Jilin felt that it was better to do something with the time. Lu Yinglong smiled and said, "I want to see what other surprises he can create. What surprises can he have? Can he beat Wang Yi of professional ninth pin?" Qin Jilin snorted. In the guest seats, Yi Yaoding and Jiang Lan of Danqi State sat side by side. "I don't know how long he can last," Yi Yaoding suddenly said when she saw Lu Qing walking toward the arena along the path of light. Jiang Lan was a young woman in her 20s with a demure appearance. She smiled and said, I just hope he won't give up and make Wang Yi more tired. Wang Yi is a strong contender for the championship. Sister Lan, why do you value Wang Yi so much? Yi Yaoting turned her head and looked at Jiang Lan with a competitive spirit in her clear eyes. Jiang Lan gently smiled and said, Wang Ye's fighting style is fierce, his iron palm is ruthless, and he is very good at bullying the weak. As long as he doesn't meet an evenly matched opponent, he won't consume much of his stamina. But I am just the opposite of him, accumulating my stamina one battle after another. When it comes to the final battle, I may not have the confidence to beat him before my stamina runs out. My fighting style is also very ferocious. Yi Yaoting murmured. After handing over his mobile phone and other items to the competition supervisor, Lu Qing walked up the stone steps and entered the ring step by step. Before he could stand still, he heard bursts of cheers and cheers coming from different stands. That was because in the previous few matches, he had started from nothing, accumulating the audience one by one. Thinking of this, Lu Qing felt proud and his blood began to boil. He was in the most suitable state for the battle. In front of him, Wang Yi in a dark cyan martial arts suit was standing steadily. The first match of the fourth group, Wang Yi of professional ninth pin whose iron palm has shocked the arena, versus the famous mysterious master Lu Qing. Will Wang Yi defend the honor of professional ninth pin with his iron palm, or Lu Qing will be a black hand to the end? In the broadcast of the martial arts arena, the announcer called out the two sides in a provocative tone. Boom! The stands were full of enthusiasm again. Lao Zheng, the young couple and other audiences cheered even harder than before. The referee raised his head and looked at the electronic clock. He looked left and right and said loudly, Talk time starts now. As soon as he finished his words, Lu Qing saw the short-haired young man, Wang Yi, smile and say, You're really an interesting opponent. I asked someone to look for videos of your previous matches. I can clearly see that you're using actual combat to grow little by little. In just a few days, you've shown a complete transformation. It's simply daunting. Facing an opponent like you, I should have been excited to see you and let you show off all your strengths in a battle to my heart's content. But I'm sorry, the prize money this time is very important to me. In order to save as much energy as possible to deal with the strong enemies behind me, I can only choose to end this quickly. His words were sincere, and one could hear the appreciation and regret in them. Lu Qing said with a gentle smile, I'm sorry, too. I'm afraid I can't let you have a quick battle. After that, they looked at each other and smiled. The confidence of martial artists was in their hearts. Lu Qing and Wang Yi stopped talking and waited patiently for the time to pass, ignoring the confrontation on the spiritual level. Start. Suddenly, the referee waved his right hand. Lu Qing, who was ready to attack, suddenly jumped out. He adjusted his muscles and kept changing his center of gravity, like a snake that was wriggling to attack. Wang Yi didn't move. He slightly lowered his waist and half-raised his hands. He didn't make a judgment in advance. Rolling his center of gravity, Lu Qing took a step forward and came to Wang Yi's left side. His right palm was like an illusory cold, silently but quickly patted. Bam! Wang Yi's right hand suddenly came out from under his left armpit. He didn't have time to prepare before he patted out an iron palm that tore the airflow. The faint metallic luster reflected a faint light. He was going to meet Lu Qing's attack head-on. Lu Qing clearly remembered that in the second round of the knockout match, an amateur third-pin fighter was careless and directly injured his metacarpal bone by Lu Qing's palm. Lu Qing's center of gravity rolled again. His right palm drew an arc with his footwork and dispersed the force. He flashed behind Wang Yi like a ghost, as if he had anticipated and prepared for this. Before he could stand firm and make a move, Wang Yi pulled the muscles of his left leg and kicked out with a horse kick. This kick came without any warning. Under the strange posture, the strength was actually able to link up bit by bit. It was extremely explosive, comparable to the tiger tail kick of Invincible Punch, Jin Tao. It was fast, accurate, and ruthless. His body swayed and his center of gravity rolled again. Lu Qing didn't wait to stand firm. He took a step forward and came to Wang Ye's right side, just in time to avoid the kick. Such a change stunned the audience, who felt that he seemed to violate human dynamics. Lu Cheng's posture was strange. He shook his right arm and whipped Wang Yi, who had just retracted his left leg. Wang Yi had watched Lu Cheng's previous match videos and remembered his ability to control his muscles and coordinate his center of gravity. His haystack fishing for the moon and horse kick were prepared for this. But he didn't expect that Lu Qing could adjust his center of gravity again and again, even if there were attacks in between. Wang Ye's face turned serious. His right hand, which had been swinging to the left, suddenly swung back, making a short and rapid sound of friction with the air. Then he hit Lu Qing. The secret unique skill of iron palm, back thrust. Back thrust was so powerful and unexpected that Lu Yinglong and the other spectators raised their eyebrows in fear. They felt that Lu Qing had no choice but to take the attack head-on. Once he did, the match would enter Wang Ye's territory. But Lu Qing, like a ghost, turned back in the attack. Although he dispersed the inch force of his right arm, he still avoided Wang Ye's back thrust and appeared behind his opponent again. Mercurial center of gravity. Yi Yaoting murmured in the stands. Jiang Lan beside her smiled and whispered, interesting. If it weren't for the fact that his strength was scattered and there was still a long way to go before he could fully condense it, I would have suspected that he was a real Danchi martial artist. In the center of the arena, Wang Yi was not surprised but delighted. His face was full of enthusiasm for martial arts. This kind of opponent is interesting. Chapter 55. Mercurial Balance. Road to the arena, Zhou Yuaning, who paid more attention to this match than anyone else, blurted out with a look of astonishment. He didn't expect Lu Cheng's ability to control his muscles and coordinate his weight to be so strong, but he was also surprised that he didn't give up at all. Invincible punch, Jin Tao took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Success in meditation is really amazing in martial arts. Master Road, even with Lu Cheng's abnormal physical strength, it's not easy for him to maintain the state of mercurial balance. It seems that he really didn't reserve anything for the next two matches. The unyielding strong man proves what I've learned. He's also a real fighter. Road to the arena showed some appreciation and admiration. I thought he would give up this match. While speaking, he didn't care about the audience who didn't understand the power of mercurial balance. He just kept clapping and cheering, which suddenly echoed in the martial arts arena that was relatively quiet for a while. Following his cheers, Jiang Lan, Huang Zhenzhong, Yi Yaoting, Li Xiaoyuan, and the other masters also applauded. Although the two sides had not touched each other once, the changes in the slightest were thrilling. The level of martial arts displayed was extraordinary. Mercurial balance. In the arena, Wang Ye's face showed a bit of fanaticism. With his back to Lu Cheng, he slightly adjusted and swung his left hand back before the enemy made a move. Bam! His left arm was like a soft whip, whistling and sweeping horizontally, driving half of his body to block the possibility of Lu Cheng dodging to the left, as if to force him to move to the right. Since the start of the match, he tried to take the initiative for the first time to control the situation. As a professional ninth pin, his speed of self-adjustment and re-exertion was not slower than Lu Cheng's dodging step. In view of this, Lu Cheng was afraid of falling into a trap, so he flowed back 2 steps and steadily avoided the whip palm. Wang Yi turned around, twisted his waist and back, driving the muscles of his right leg to tighten. He suddenly exerted his strength and swept out like lightning. The sharp sound of breaking air was very loud, and the power was imaginable. He continued to use a horizontal sweep to cut off the possibility of Lu Cheng moving to the right side of his body and to reduce the range of his dodging. Lu Cheng maintained his rhythmic breathing. His muscles were constantly adjusting, making his center of gravity like Mercury, constantly swaying between left, right, front, and back. When he decided which direction to move, he didn't need to accumulate strength or overcome inertia. He could complete it immediately with a bounce. This was the essence of mercurial center of gravity, one of the characteristics of a master of danqi state. He swayed his center of gravity and took a natural step forward. In a way that defied the common sense of the audience, he stepped to Wang Ye's left side. He didn't lower his waist nor did he sit down. Instead, he slashed down with his fist and attacked the opponent's weak side. The sweeping force of Wang Ye's right leg stopped abruptly, as if he had anticipated Lu Cheng's attack. He quickly tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, bounced his left arm, opened his elbow and turned it into a javelin, and stabbed the right side of Lu Cheng's body with the tip of his palm. His 5 fingers were also suffused with the color of iron. They were as black as the tip of a great spear. If one were to be poked, the result would be unimaginable. Lu Cheng's center of gravity had been moving, so he bounced back and dodged out of Wang Ye's attack range. Wang Yi didn't show any mercy. He stepped forward and pulled his arms back like a bow and arrow, and then shot them out at the same time, whistling toward Lu Cheng's temples from both sides. The smell of iron rushed to Lu Cheng's nose, and the sound of air tearing shook the ears. Double peaks piercing the ear. Lu Cheng didn't dare to take Wang Ye's iron palm head-on. He shifted his center of gravity again and stepped back, nimbly dodging the attack. Wang Yi adjusted slightly. Seeing Lu Cheng stepping to his left side, he caught up with him again. He exerted strength from his waist and back, passing it from his thigh to his knee, from his knee to his calf, and from his calf to the tip of his foot. Pa! Another sweep from left to right. Lu Cheng had to change his center of gravity and step back obliquely. Since the beginning of the competition, they hadn't collided once. Wang Yi is trying to reduce Lu Cheng's movement range. Yi Yaoting watched attentively. Any player who wanted to be the champion wouldn't ignore Wang Yi. She could clearly see that Wang Ye's previous continuous attacks weren't aimed at hitting Lu Cheng or forcing him to fight head-on, but to reduce the range of guerrilla warfare. Not only that. Jiang Lan smiled. Haven't you noticed? Lu Cheng is getting closer and closer to the edge of the arena. Yi Yaoting was stunned. She focused her eyes and saw that the two who were fighting in the center of the arena had moved to the spectator seats, only 10 steps away from the edge of the arena. The arena competition is different from the real battlefield competition. There is a limit to the edge. Once you fall, you lose. So guerrilla warfare is a little unfavorable. Wang Yi is taking advantage of this to force Lu Cheng to the edge, forcing him to either jump off the platform and admit defeat, or fight head-on. Jiang Lan laughed. Without a very strong ability to judge moves and without a good ability to coordinate oneself, it is very difficult to do this. Unfortunately, Wang Yi has both, but his consumption is not small. While she was talking, Lu Cheng kept moving left and right, as if he wanted to hide behind Wang Yi and escape from the predicament. However, under Wang Ye's terrifying attacks and accurate judgment, he steadily but slowly approached the edge of the arena. The gap between their strength was obvious. Glancing at the nearby seats, Lu Cheng heard the uncontrollable exclamations of the spectators. He knew clearly that he would fall off the arena in 3 or 4 steps at most. Until now, they hadn't collided once, which made the spectators feel bored. Only sporadic cheers and applause were heard, either from those who were good at martial arts, or from the supporters that Lu Cheng and Wang Yi had accumulated along the way. Seeing Lu Cheng was forced to the edge, most of the spectators were refreshed and focused again, making all kinds of sounds. Wang Yi twisted his body strength and passed through his right leg, driving the tip of his foot to turn into a soft whip. Pa! Another horizontal sweep, continuing to reduce Lu Cheng's dodging options. Seeing his right leg whizzing towards him, the sound of it breaking through the air was enough to make one shudder. Lu Cheng suddenly lowered his center of gravity and stopped moving. The picture of high ice peaks and layers of snow had appeared in his mind. The sense of horror was almost tangible. Boom! A silver-white lightning cut through the sky and struck down instantly, stirring up the prairie fire and shaking the thousands of years of accumulated snow. Boom! The snow peaks collapsed, and hundreds of millions of white streams collapsed, rolling down and swallowing everything in the coverage. Lightning and fire stance. Mega avalanche. Lu Cheng's body was numb and hot flow surged. He clenched his hands into fists and blocked Wang Ye's whip kick from bottom to top. He seemed to be forced into a desperate situation and had to fight head-on, just as Jiang Lan, Yi Yaoting, Zhou Yuaning and others expected. Bang! Hitting Wang Ye's right leg with both fists, Lu Cheng slightly adjusted his center of gravity and added a lift force to move Wang Ye's right leg up like a lever. In the blink of an eye, Lu Cheng suddenly lowered his body and rolled behind Wang Ye's legs. In a short moment, they exchanged positions, and Wang Yi came to the edge of the arena. Lu Cheng straightened his back and stood up abruptly. He leaned forward with the momentum of Mega Avalanche in his mind and wanted to knock Wang Yi out of the arena directly. He had waited for the entire match, endured for the entire match, all for this opportunity. Inspired by Wu Shitong's story, he had avoided collision from the beginning. No matter facing palm or leg, he always retreated. However, Wang Ye's strong iron palm was the specialty of this palm technique. In terms of pure strength, he was not as good as Yi Yaoting. Why would he not dare to block Wang Ye's whip kick with Mega Avalanche and Lightning and Fire stance? This was not only to lose his balance and lose his advantage of Mercury, but also to make Wang Yi think that he was afraid of a head-on confrontation. When he was forced to the edge of the arena, Wang Yi was also at the edge of the arena. Once he seized the opportunity of Wang Ye's whip kick, he would kick high and give Wang Yi no time to make other adjustments. He would roll behind Wang Yi, and then the offensive and defensive positions would be switched. Originally, he was not sure that he could defeat Wang Yi by himself. However, at the edge of the arena, with the help of the rules, he had a great hope. All he had to do was knock Wang Yi out of the arena. The desperate situation that Wang Yi had painstakingly created would be the key to defeat him. This is the complete version of my story. Lu Cheng thought and suddenly leaned forward. This caused the spectators to let out cries of surprise. They had not expected the situation to change so abruptly in such a short time. Wang Ye's right foot landed on the ground and he took 2 steps forward to avoid Lu Cheng's fatal attack. He turned his body, but he was already standing at the edge of the arena. Lu Cheng took a deep breath. In his mind, lightning struck again, and the avalanche started again. The white stream burst out. He leaned sideways and lowered his left shoulder. He was going to use it as a horn to hit Wang Yi. Even if Wang Yi used iron palm, he would still hit him. As long as he could make Wang Yi take a step back, he would accept it even if he got hurt. From the beginning, he had not considered the next 2 matches. He had tried his best and was not afraid of getting hurt. He just wanted to win regardless of the consequences. In life, there was no need to be overcautious. No way. In the stands, Yi Yaoting, Zhou Yuaning, Jiang Lan and other professional mighty ones blurted out. They did not expect Lu Cheng to create an opportunity to win and put Wang Yi in a desperate situation. Facing this, Wang Ye's expression was a little complicated. He raised his right hand, took a step forward and pushed forward. His temples bulged strangely. Bam! In the air, as if there was a piece of iron rapidly beating the airflow, the wind pressure suddenly changed and blew on Lu Cheng's face, who was only 1 step away. Lu Cheng was adjusting his breathing to make full use of the force of the hit. But when his face was hit by such a strong pressure, he suddenly felt his breath stagnant. His breath stagnated and his strength slowed down. He failed to hit out in time. Wang Yi took a step forward and stuck in front of him, his right palm hanging beside his temple. Wang Yi wins. The referee announced the result in a loud and clear voice. The whole martial arts arena was silent. Because of the sudden reversal of victory and defeat, even Lu Cheng himself was in a trance for a moment. He lost just like that. Wang Yi put away his iron palm and looked at Lu Cheng. He sighed and said, "I prepared this move to deal with the masters of Danqi State. I didn't expect you to force me to use it. P.S. Update the chapter at noon in advance. Chapter 56. Lu Cheng's mind was still stuck in the scene where he was so close to defeating a professional 9th pin mighty one. He looked a little lost until Wang Yi spoke. That's right. Yes, when the two sides were so close to each other, victory or defeat would be decided in an instant. That was Wang Yi's desperate situation, and also his own desperate situation. Whoever grasped the opportunity first would win the match. If he didn't have time to make that strike, the result could be imagined. The only problem was that he had the upper hand. Although he had said that he would have no regrets even if he lost if he did his best, when the result came, Lu Cheng's heart was still filled with regret, loss, and pain. A fighter without a strong desire to win is not a good fighter. Lu Cheng comforted himself silently. In this aspect, his idol, Dragon King Chen Qitao, was particularly obvious. He was often criticized for not being graceless when he lost and not caring about his opponent's feelings when he won. He was not like warrior sage Qian Donglu, who had the temperament of a grandmaster. But his fans felt that this was his true nature and the original motivation for him to get to where he was today. Looking at Wang Yi's sincere eyes, Lu Cheng smiled bitterly and said, "I did my best and created the only and best opportunity. But after all, my strength was not enough. I could only watch as I failed. I wanted to say that I was sincerely convinced, but I couldn't. I only had a stronger fighting spirit in my heart. I hope I can make up for this failure in the future." After this battle, his own shortcomings were deeply imprinted in his heart, forcing him to improve. If it weren't for them, he wouldn't have had to fight so hard and wait for such an either/or situation. Wang Yi smiled and said, "Actually, you didn't lose. At least I didn't end the battle quickly." Hearing this, Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh. Thinking of his words before the official competition, his mood eased a lot. He saluted and said, "I won't set such a small goal next time." Exhaling, he turned and walked towards the stone steps, ignoring the hustle and bustle around him. The taste of failure was really unpleasant. No matter what kind of failure it was still a failure to him. He wouldn't think that it was a glorious defeat. In the stands, although the audience didn't quite understand the previous contest of mercurial balance and compressed range, and felt that there was nothing to write home about, the continuous twists and turns in the last stage still made them feel satisfied. They only regretted that Lu Cheng didn't seize the opportunity, otherwise they would have witnessed the birth of a miracle, a fighter of no rank defeating a master of professional 9th pin. What a pity! Lu Cheng was so close. Zheng clapped regretfully. His companions also sighed. To be able to fight to this extent, Lu Cheng can be considered to have lost without regrets. Lu Yinglong was even more emotional. He said to Qin Jilin and other junior brothers and sisters, "Every time I watch a match, I can see that Lu Cheng is obviously getting stronger. At the beginning of the match, I never thought that he could fight with a professional 9th pin expert to this extent." Comparisons are odious. Qin Jilin still couldn't believe it. He actually almost defeated a professional 9th pin, his words before the match were still ringing in his ears. He had almost witnessed such a surprise. When the audience was discussing the match, the professional fighters were also reminiscing. A palm that affected the rhythm of breathing, not bad. Jiang Lan whispered, turned to look at Yi Yaoting, and asked with a smile, "If you were in Wang Yi's last predicament, how would you deal with it?" "First of all, with the speed and agility of my leopard form, he wouldn't have a chance to fight. Second, although I couldn't hit Wang Yi's last palm, my strength was much better than his. Even if Lu Cheng used Mega Avalanche and Lightning and Fire Stance, he wouldn't be able to hit me and make me fall out of the ring." Yi Yaoting answered with a little pride. "Even if the center of gravity was unstable, with this possibility, I could also seize the opportunity of collision and fall out of the ring with him. At worst, it would be a tie." Jiang Lan smiled, sighed, and said, "At worst, it will be a draw." Lu Cheng really can't be underestimated since he can make a proud person like you say this. He not only has the two advantages of great success in meditation and abnormal physical strength, but also is quite good at fighting and absorbing other people's experience for his own use. If he has the level of professional ninth pin in other aspects, Wang Ye's chance of winning is less than 10%. Less than 10% chance of winning. Yi Yaoting was stunned. She didn't expect Sister Lan, who was outwardly soft but outwardly proud, to have such a high opinion of Lu Cheng. Road to the arena, Zhou Yuaning was silent for a long time before he exhaled and said to Invincible Punch, I didn't expect Lu Cheng to do his best without reservation and not give up strategically. Now I didn't expect that he could push Wang Yi to the point where he almost lost the match. Losing the match didn't mean the failure of strength, but the limitation of the challenge tournament. Invincible Punch, Jin Tao was also in a daze. He smiled bitterly and said, I've thought about it carefully. Facing Wang Yi, it's impossible for me to create such a good opportunity. He will only end the battle quickly. Zhou Yuaning seriously pondered and said, if I were in your position, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the patience to tell a nearly true story like Lu Cheng. And when I was in a dilemma, I couldn't turn defeat into victory like Wang Yi. Master Road, don't be shaken. What you are good at is different from them. If you were in Wang Ye's position, you wouldn't be so restrained like Lu Cheng and not dare to face Iron Palm. And with the characteristics of Wuthering 8 movements, you wouldn't be like Lu Cheng, who only has strange body movements and can't keep up with speed and agility. You can't pull away from Wang Yi and can be easily caught up by him. Jin Tao comforted him. As for Lu Cheng, even if he has a mercurial center of gravity, he is just showing off in front of an expert in Wuthering 8 movements. Zhou Yuaning said, don't worry. I have always been a person who is overconfident. How can I be defeated so easily? Only these two opponents can make my blood boil. But I have to deal with the next one first. After that, he stood up and walked along the aisle to the arena to face Tang Yu. The second match of the fourth group. Lu Cheng found a convenient place in the stands to watch the match and was comforted and encouraged by the unfamiliar but enthusiastic audience. He responded slightly, sat down quietly, took out his mobile phone, logged on QQ and sent a sad emoji to Yenjika. Comfort me. Yenjika seemed to have been waiting for a reply. She touched her head first and then covered her mouth to laugh. Who said that if he won, he would be ecstatic and lose without regret? When a man is bragging, you can't take his words seriously. Lu Cheng wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. His annoyance dissipated a lot after being teased. I know. Dragon King is my idol. I understand the strong desire of a fighter to win. Yenjika sent a laughing emoji. I've been watching your match videos. Lu Cheng sent a surprised emoji. So fast. It's a group match. After a match, there will be a corresponding video on the official website. When it comes to the top 16, maybe there will be a live broadcast. Yenjika sent a leisurely monkey with red hearts in her eyes. Lu Cheng was about to reply when Yenjika sent a shocked leisurely monkey. Mercurial balance? You can do that. The girl's surprise made Lu Cheng happy. His annoyance of failure faded away. He pretended to be reserved. I had a similar understanding and experience when I was practicing martial arts. Now I'm just using it for actual combat. I practiced for a long time this morning before I could barely use it in actual combat. And it's too easy to get tired. You only practiced for a morning. Yenjika sent a sweaty leisurely monkey with exposed red butt. Don't praise me. I'll be proud. Lu Cheng deliberately replied in a joking tone. Not far away, Li Xiaoyuan saw him and gave him a thumbs up, indicating that he fought well. Lu Cheng smiled and nodded as a response. While discussing his own match with Yenjika, he turned his eyes to the central ring to watch the match between Zhou Yuaning and Tang Yu. Tang Yu was strong and tall. He was quite fat, but his fat protected his body, allowing him to rampage like an elephant and ignore most of the attacks. It was somewhat similar to the Golden Bell shield. His arms were as thick as ordinary men's thighs and his legs were even more terrifying. Every attack he made was trampling. Lu Qing suspected that if he hit a fighter of amateur 4th or 5th pin, he might not be able to stand up again. Although he was not agile enough, he was still quite agile at times. For example, when Zhou Yuaning seized the opportunity to get close to his back, his right hand imitated the elephant trunk and swung back with a roar, almost injuring Road to the arena. But Zhou Yuaning's footwork was agile. He came and went like the wind. When he missed, he immediately pulled away, so that Tang Yu's trampling and collision could not hit him. In the stalemate, Yan Zhika sent a messy leisurely monkey. If I didn't know the result, I would have thought you won when you flashed behind Wang Yi. How long have you been practicing martial arts? You can force a professional 9th pin expert to the point where he is only one step away from losing. Haha, I just patiently told a good story. Lu Cheng was a little complacent. The shock and appreciation of the girl he loved completely dispelled the negative feelings of failure. He could prepare for the next day's match wholeheartedly. The two of them chatted casually, and the battle in the central ring slowly entered a white-hot stage. Zhou Yuaning seemed to be a little physically exhausted, and it was difficult for him to maintain such a high-intensity wind style. After Tang Yu consumed a lot of energy, he seized the opportunity and made a set of combo moves, Tornado Wind. In the sound of pa, Tang Yu's movement was slow and his head was hit by a palm. His fat could no longer be protected and he became dizzy. Zhou Yuaning controlled his vital parts. After the referee announced the victory, Zhou Yuaning gasped for breath with sweat on his forehead like rain. Obviously, it was not easy. Lu Qin watched thoughtfully. In his mind, the advantages and disadvantages of the two's moves just now appeared, and he deduced his own response. After the last match, he quickly had dinner nearby and told Yan Zhika that he had to practice martial arts tonight and could not chat until after 9 o'clock. The next day's match was in the morning, so it was impossible to practice in the morning. Otherwise, he would not be able to make up for his energy. In the small park, Lu Qing imagined Tang Yu as an enemy and slightly changed the fighting style of today's battle with Wang Yi. He practiced one move after another, sometimes with crisp sounds, sometimes with silence. The next day, after warming up with the morning exercise, Lu Qing took the phone and chatted with Yan Zhika. Once again, he came to the martial arts competition stadium of Yanling. Don't be careless, don't underestimate. Don't think that I can easily defeat an amateur 1st pin expert after a fight with a professional 9th pin expert. He said to himself silently. He clearly remembered that he used the endurance provided by the Jin Dan to wear out, Invincible Punch, Jin Tao, who was also of amateur 1st pin. Chapter 57. In the locker room, a few fighters were resting with their eyes closed, waiting for the next match. Lu Qing sat in the corner, relaxed and chatted with Yan Zhika on his phone. Today's match is the 7th match in the morning. There's still some time before it starts. He sent a message with an onion in a hot spring. In order to keep up with Yan Zhika, he also downloaded a new emoji pack. Yan Zhika sent back a handsome onion winking emoji. Are you nervous? Not at all. After fighting a professional 9th pin, I'm used to facing a master of amateur 1st pin. It's no big deal. Of course, I won't be arrogant and look down on my opponent. My current comprehensive strength is still worse than that of an amateur 1st pin. Lu Qing sent an emoji of a grinning dog. Yan Zhika replied, You've said all the right and wrong words. How can I answer you? Can't we have a good chat? The opponent doesn't want to talk to you and throws a dog at you. Coach Yan's good guidance makes me have such a good mentality. Lu Qing snickered and said sorry to his master in his heart. In order to get a girlfriend, I have to make you suffer. Yan Zhika sent an emoji of an onion pushing up glasses. Good. It's good that you know this. I watched Tang Yu's match video last night and found that the way you fought with Wang Yi was also suitable to deal with him. Besides, he was much weaker than Wang Yi and his movements were slower. He couldn't reduce your range of activities. Coach Yan is right. As long as I can make him miss a few more times, he will be burdened by his size and consume more energy. Then my chance will come. Lu Qing sent an emoji of a monkey wagging its tail and showing its red heart. Yan Zhika sent an emoji of a monkey proudly. But he must have watched your match yesterday. He will probably change today. You have to be careful. Don't worry. I have also adjusted my fighting style. Lu Qing sent an emoji of a monkey beating its chest proudly. Fighters came in and out. Some went to the ring to participate in the match, and some went back to the locker room to take a shower. Lu Qing and Yan Zhika talked about the fifth match before they knew it. I have to warm up and adjust my state. Lu Qing sent an emoji of staying up all night working hard. Yan Zhika covered her mouth and smiled. Do you need my help today? Of course. Lu Qing snickered. Originally, I wanted you to sing a song for me to cheer me on. But this kind of heavy encouragement is better left for tomorrow's battle with Zhou Yuaning, the former professional ninth pin fighter. Let's be casual today. He was reminded of the time when he sang for Yan Zhika. Yan Zhika sent an emoji of throwing a grenade and said, "Dream on." You want to sing? After this message, she immediately sent a voice message, which was slightly different from before. Qing fighting. Lu Qing smiled, saved the voice message, logged out of QQ, pocketed his phone and closed his eyes to rest. Compared to the slight nervousness and apprehension he had before he challenged Wang Yi, he was calm at this moment, as if he had nothing to worry about. Without much help from the Jin Dan, he had successfully concealed his spirit and qi. His thoughts rose and fell quickly without leaving a trace. The sounds around him were magnified, but he did not disturb his state of mind. This state was very strange. It was like the return to tranquility after many days of fighting and the release of various emotions. Without experiencing the outside, how could one see the heart? Lu Qing suddenly woke up from the subtle experience, as if he had sensed something. Without looking at the electronic clock, he instinctively stood up, walked to the entrance of the locker room, and opened the door. Outside the door, the staff had just come close and didn't have time to knock on the door. Seeing the door open, the staff was surprised to see Lu Qing there. After a while, he said, "Your match is about to start. You can go on stage." Lu Qing must have seen the time on the electronic clock, so he came out before he knocked on the door. Lu Qing smiled gently and said, "Okay, sorry to trouble you." The wonderful state of tranquility gradually faded. He felt some changes in himself, but he couldn't feel it directly. Taking a step forward, Lu Qing started to adjust his body to get his muscles and spirit excited. The winter sky was dark. Under the illumination of the lanterns, a bright path was paved between the arena and the changing room. In the stands, Yi Yaoting was drinking a nutrient drink to replenish the nutrients she had just won in the battle between the professional ninth pin fighters. The seat beside her was empty, and Jiang Lan, who was always by her side these days, was nowhere to be seen. Seeing Lu Qing stepping on the stone steps and gradually increasing his momentum, Jiang Lan leisurely approached from the aisle and entered the seat. "Sister Lan, where have you been?" Yi Yaoting asked casually. Jiang Lan smiled and said, "I made a phone call and went to the betting station outside to bet on Lu Cheng's win." "Isn't this against the contract?" Yi Yaoting didn't read the contract carefully at all. Her father and Lu Zuanyu had a very good relationship. Before the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, her father had read the contract and proposed to amend it, so she signed it directly with the greatest trust. Jiang Lan sat down and took off the plush hat on her head. "Of course it's not against the contract. I'm not betting on my own match. Why should I care about others? That makes sense. I'll bet on Lu Qing too." Yi Yaoting was eager to have a try, planning to bet with her private money. Jiang Lan glanced at her and said, "You don't have to. After yesterday's 2 matches, everyone is optimistic about Lu Qing. The odds of betting on him now are very low. I'm just passing by." "That's true." Yi Yaoting nodded and restrained her thoughts. In yesterday's 2 matches, Lu Qing almost overthrew Wang Yi, who was a seated player, while Tang Yu, who was struggling hard, failed to gain the upper hand against a former professional ninth pin fighter. The sharp contrast made the audience lean toward Lu Qing, and the corresponding odds changed accordingly. If this match is unexpected, those who bet on Tang Yu will make a lot of money. Jiang Lan sighed. But as a professional fighter, she was very confident in her own vision, especially when it was only a fight of body refining level. Road to the arena, Zhou Yuaning was adjusting his state, waiting for the next hard fight with Wang Yi, and watching the confrontation between Lu Qing and Tang Yu in the arena. I hope Tang Yu can make Lu Qing consume more. He sighed. Invincible punch, Jin Tao said with a strange expression, consumption. After so many matches, I feel that Lu Qing is basically not consumed at all, or his physical strength is recovering very fast. He is a monster. Why wasn't he hurt by the iron palm yesterday? Haha, this kind of thing is hard to come by. Zhou Yuaning, with his past experience, showed a bit of calmness. Don't worry. Today's match is in the morning, and tomorrow's is in the afternoon. That is to say, I have a whole day to recover. The disadvantage of physical strength will not be obvious in the first few minutes. I just hope I won't get hurt later. While the martial artists were discussing among themselves, the audience was cheering for Lu Qing. Some of them had watched Lu Qing's match the day before and felt sorry for him. Some of them were fans like old Zheng, who Lu Qing had accumulated along the way. Most of them were people who had bet on Lu Qing to win. In the arena, Tang Yu looked at Lu Qing and showed a wry smile. I watched your match yesterday and felt that I was completely defeated by your fighting style. It's so sad. But since I'm standing here, I can't easily admit defeat. I made some adjustments and changes, and I hope it will be useful. He seemed to be calm, as if he had said his own plan, but Lu Qing was not sure whether he deliberately disturbed his established plan to find an opportunity. Looking at this fat and heavy opponent, Lu Qing's expression didn't change. He smiled calmly and said, everyone has their own characteristics. What suits Wang Yi may not be completely suitable to deal with you. And my comprehensive strength is not as good as yours. It's just that my strengths are stronger and my weaknesses are weaker. It's natural for me to be powerful when I use my strengths to attack your weaknesses. Of course, I'll try my best to play to my strengths and not give you a chance to find my weaknesses. He said without any sharpness, but naturally overflowed with strong self-confidence. This confidence was accumulated from the battles and victories during these days. It was the confidence that he could still create a good chance to win in the battle with a professional ninth pin. Looking at Lu Qing like this, Tang Yu's momentum was broken. He was a little absent-minded and recalled the past. Once upon a time, he was so confident. Once upon a time, he relied on this body to sweep all the opponents below the amateur third pin like a rocket. However, the subsequent failures gradually made him lose his indestructible confidence. Although he still had the desire for victory, the belief to win the game, and the basic self-confidence, it was not strong enough and not tough enough. He often told himself that this was the inevitable result of life's training and the inevitable price to pay for maturity. But in his heart, he still envied this kind of flying and self-confidence. He didn't speak again, as if he wanted to borrow confidence from his past self, the confidence to kill God and Buddha. Start. The referee waved his right hand. Lu Qing moved. He approached Tang Yu with the snake steps. He adjusted his muscles so that his center of gravity was like Mercury, swaying in his body, making it impossible to judge which side he would eventually lean to. Tang Yu took a deep breath, lowered his waist, and put on a defensive posture. His long and thick arms spread out, like a sumo wrestler in the game Street Fighter. Rolling his center of gravity, Lu Qing suddenly changed his direction and stepped to the left side of Tang Yu's back like a ghost. His right palm shot out like lightning, with no trace of strength and no wind. Tang Yu didn't seem to notice it. He still put on a defensive posture and was about to be hit in the ribs by Lu Qing's cold palm. However, Lu Qing, who had a fierce battle with Wu Shitong, had an instinctive intuition and immediately understood what Tang Yu's adjusted fighting style was. Tang Yu wanted to take advantage of his thick fat and good at taking hits to resist his non-vital attacks and counterattack at the moment of hitting. In such a short distance, in such a quick battle, Lu Qing might not be able to dodge completely with mercurial balance in time. If he was a little careless, he would be hit by Tang Yu's terrible arms and thick legs. It was really not easy to bear. Chapter 58. A flash of inspiration illuminated Lu Cheng's mind. He instantly grasped Tang Yu's thoughts and realized that his defensive posture was a trap. Except for the vital part, he didn't think about defense at all. After losing to Zhou Yuaning, Tang Yu no longer considered the problem of qualifying, but how to leave the warrior sage arena with dignity. Wang Yi was too strong, so he didn't have to think about it. He had to win this competition at the risk of injury. Lu Cheng, who was known as the strongest fighter below professional ninth pin. While thinking, Lu Cheng's heart was like an ice mirror. He didn't panic and suddenly broke out the hidden strength in his right palm. With a snap sound, his forearm shook and his palm bounced up like a snake's head and shot toward Tang Yu's face. His fingertips turned into sharp teeth and poked toward Tang Yu's temple. The whole process was unexpected and without warning. Many spectators instinctively clenched their fists. The coldness was not only fast and silent, but also everywhere, making it impossible to guard against. Lu Cheng had never had a chance to use the change of chill to the bone before. He had never tried to detonate the hidden strength to change the direction of the move. Today, he finally had a chance to use it under Tang Yu's extreme fighting style. Tang Yu was surprised but didn't panic. He swung his left arm and blocked in front of him. He had watched the video of the 24 Blizzard Strikes competition many times and was familiar with such changes. He wouldn't be flustered because of it. However, he didn't expect Lu Cheng to see through his intentions from the very beginning. Snap! Lu Cheng's fingertips poked Tang Yu's arm, but it was soft like a piece of pork, with no wound. Tang Yu blocked with his left arm. Without turning sideways, he lowered his center of gravity and kicked out his left leg, tearing the air and stirring the wind. In this short moment, Lu Cheng was like a violent giant elephant in front of him. It used a side kick to drive the whole force and trampled on him with condescending power. Tang Yu's kick had the power of Jin Tao's blast punch, which couldn't be blocked without mega avalanche and lightning and fire stance. Lu Cheng didn't think about parrying, in case his center of gravity stopped flowing and he lost the best way to restrain his opponent. He adjusted his muscles and swung his center of gravity with the help of the rebound force. When Tang Yu kicked out from the side, he stepped to his back. If Tang Yu had not used his left arm to block the blow aimed at his temple, his side kick would have had a chance to hit him. Missing his target, Tang Yu withdrew his left leg and stood still. He didn't care that Lu Cheng was behind him and didn't take the initiative to attack. He just waited passively like a human posture when practicing martial arts. While Lu Cheng's center of gravity was constantly swaying, he stretched his left arm and turned it into a long spear, pointing it at the back of Tang Yu's head. Even if he sacrificed a certain degree of strength, this position was still not something that Tang Yu could resist. Woo! Tang Yu seemed to be aware of it. He swung his right hand from front to back and then from up to down like a waving elephant trunk. The air whined and whipped at Lu Cheng fiercely. His power was so terrifying that it was almost as powerful as Yi Yaoting's when she broke out. Elephant form. The elephant swung its trunk. Lu Cheng bounced his center of gravity, moved his body, and drew an arc with his left hand to avoid the swing. He insisted not to fight head-on and treated Tang Yu as the weak Wang Yi. However, Wang Yi didn't have a thick layer of fat, so every time he attacked instead of defending, it consumed more physical strength. Of course, Tang Yu's burden was heavier because of his physique and figure. Once Lu Cheng was pushed away from his back, Tang Yu immediately stopped and rearranged his posture. He didn't want to take the initiative to attack at all. In the case that he only needed to defend his vital parts, his choice was simple and didn't need to waste his brain. The consumption of physical strength would also be reduced correspondingly, and he would have some time to breathe and recover. The core of his fighting style today was one word: wear out. Tang Yu knew that he was not as good as Wang Yi in terms of accurate judgment and strong body coordination. He couldn't reduce the range of Lu Cheng's wandering, so he had to resort to this strategy. He was not confident that his physical strength was comparable to Lu Cheng's, but he thought that even if his opponent's physical strength was abnormal, it couldn't be infinite. Sooner or later, he would be tired. Lu Cheng's mercurial center of gravity was obviously several times more consuming than his steady defense posture, and the mental burden was also heavy. Unlike him, he only needed to consider a few vital parts. If this continued, even if his physical strength could be maintained, the degree of concentration related to mental strength would be reduced, and he couldn't keep his center of gravity all the time. At that time, Tang Yu's chance would come. In addition, Lu Cheng's performance in this challenge tournament was smooth, and he almost defeated Wang Yi of professional 9th pin before. Would he not look down on Tang Yu or feel good about himself when facing him? The other side of self-confidence was pride. As long as he couldn't win for a long time, he might become impatient, and then make mistakes. After making up his mind, Tang Yu calmed down and firmly defended, like a giant elephant firmly occupying the center of the land. Lu Cheng kept wandering and attacking Tang Yu's vital parts, forcing Tang Yu to defend or beat him back by attacking. The two were in a stalemate, and there was no sign of a winner in a short time. The audience who didn't know the reason only thought that the two sides were fighting very well, one attacking and the other defending, colliding from time to time, and the winner could be decided at any time. They couldn't help but worry about the result of the game, and kept shouting and cheering. Yi Yaoting yawned and said in boredom, "When will they stop? Is this a martial arts competition or an endurance competition? There is no other way." Lu Cheng's style completely restrains Tang Yu, and the gap between their comprehensive strength is nothing. Tang Yu can only respond in this way. Jiang Lan held her mobile phone and glanced at the arena from time to time. Yi Yaoting wanted to collapse, but sighed and said, "It seems that Wu Shitong is very smart. His style is similar to Tang Yu's." If he didn't set a trap for Lu Cheng in that game, Tang Yu would be in the current situation, and the martial arts competition would become an endurance competition. Unfortunately, he overreached himself. You can look forward to the next game. Zhou Yuaning is good at wuthering 8 movements, and is good at agility and elegance. If Lu Cheng shows this immature mercurial balance, he will only fall into his trap. Jiang Lan smiled. Different styles have different restraints. Time passed. After 15 minutes, Tang Yu still defended steadily, but with his physique, he also consumed a lot of energy. He panted slightly and saw Lu Cheng wandering to his side. Lu Cheng's eyes were deep and calm, without any impatience, and his breathing rhythm was normal, as if his physical strength was at its peak. How could this be? Tang Yu was frightened. Before he had time to think, Lu Cheng had moved his position, and directly hit his eye socket with abrupt strength. It was impossible to sacrifice his eyes for such a battle of honor, so Tang Yu put his elbow in front of his eyes and blocked the punch. Bang! In the sound of the collision, Tang Yu clenched his left hand into a fist and turned it into an elephant leg. He twisted the strength of his whole body and hit out. From top to bottom, the trampling power seemed to be able to trample the enemy in front of him into a meat pie. It was foreseeable that his opponent would dodge this attack and go to another direction. At this moment, Tang Yu's eyes were fixed on Lu Cheng. He saw Lu Cheng's body stop, lower his waist and lower his legs to stabilize his center of gravity. In Lu Cheng's mind, the majestic snow mountain, which had accumulated hundreds of thousands of years of power, suddenly collapsed, complemented with the lighting that illuminated everything, rolling forward and swallowing everything. Lightning and fire stance. Mega avalanche. Bang! Lu Cheng's right hand fiercely hit out, blocking Tang Yu's trampling attack, and his body only slightly lowered. Did he block my attack? He actually managed to block my attack. Tang Yu, who was quite confident in his own strength, was shocked, but then he immediately realized that he had consumed too much energy and his strength had weakened a lot. It can't go on like this. Lu Cheng didn't show any sign of fatigue at all. Tang Yu gritted his teeth and made a decision. Seizing the opportunity when Lu Qing stabilized his center of gravity, before he withdrew his left hand, he gathered all his strength and fiercely stamped on the ground, like a crazy wild elephant, trying to directly hit his opponent. Elephant form. Crazy elephant rush. When a giant elephant ran and hit, even tigers, lions, and wild bears had to avoid it. It was true that they would die if they touched it and get hurt if they grazed it. Under such a huge momentum, the ground of the arena was slightly shaking, but Lu Cheng's eyes were unusually calm, as if he had expected it. Instead of dodging, he moved forward and grabbed Tang Yu's left arm that had not been completely withdrawn. In a split second, he turned around, lowered his body, and took advantage of the momentum to pull forward. With the strength of his own forward collision and the skillful force of Lu Cheng's imitation of a throw, Tang Yu flew up and over his opponent. The giant elephant's center of gravity was stable and difficult to shake, but once there was a change, it would be difficult to adjust again because of the terrible inertia. Tang Yu tried to control himself, but failed. With a bang, he fell to the ground, hard on the ground. While he was dizzy, he heard the referee announce loudly, "Lu Qing wins." Then, he saw Lu Qing take back one of his feet. Shaking his head, Tang Yu stood up, only to see Lu Qing opposite him smile and say, "To be honest, I have never seen anyone take the initiative to compete with me in terms of stamina consumption. His courage is really commendable." Hearing the words and seeing that Lu Qing was so calm without any fatigue, Tang Yu really wanted to vomit blood. With all kinds of emotions surging, he blurted out, "Don't you feel tired?" "Of course." Lu Qing said sincerely, "If you hold on for half an hour, I can't hold on anymore." "Half an hour?" Tang Yu twitched his mouth and turned to leave, with an expression that he was about to cry. "Hold on for half an hour? You'd better kill me." Looking at his back, Lu Qing couldn't help but criticize in his heart, "I didn't lie to you. My energy can only hold on for half an hour. There is a difference between practice and actual combat. Of course, in terms of pure physical strength, I can fight another 100 games." The restraint of his fighting style made it relatively easy for him to win. In the stands, cheers and applause rang out everywhere. They were enthusiastic about the wonderful battle just now. "I don't understand. Why don't they watch the extreme long-distance race?" Yi Yaoting rubbed the tip of her nose and complained about the appreciation level of the audience. In the second round of the fourth group, Lu Qing finally ushered in the victory. He walked back from the edge of the cliff and saw the hope of entering the top 16. Chapter 59. Taking back his personal belongings from the competition supervision office, Lu Qing walked down the stone steps to the locker room. He planned to take a shower and change his underwear first. Although he was not tired from the endurance battle, he was sweaty all over. Along the way, the applause and cheers of the audience were still lingering. It seemed that the name, Lu Qing, was reverberating, as if they were welcoming the general's triumphant return. Lu Qing slightly narrowed his eyes, very satisfied with this scene and enjoyed this feeling very much. This was the taste of victory. The only thing that made him feel a little guilty was that after all, he still relied on the Jindan. He hoped to completely control it as soon as possible and completely make it his own. When he stepped into the locker room, Lu Qing had already unlocked his mobile phone and logged into QQ. He sent a message to Yan Zhika with a laughing emoji. Mission completed. After doing all this, he quickly took a battle bath and hurried outside. Road to the arena, Zhou Yuaning and Wang Ye's match was about to begin, and the former was his last challenge to reach the top 16. Of course, it was also the second biggest challenge after Wang Yi. On the way, he saw that Yan Zhika had already sent a reply. A leisurely monkey wagging its tail and showing a red heart said, "Good, you can beat a master of amateur first pin steadily. Even if you are restrained by the fighting style, it shows that you have a similar level. What should I do, Cheng? I'm jealous of you. Let me beat you up when school starts." "No problem, I'll lie down and let you beat me up." Lu Qing smiled and answered without hesitation. At the same time, he said silently in his heart, beating is affection, scolding is love. Don't lie to me, I can't beat you now, poor. Yan Zhika replied in a joking tone, you should carefully study Zhou Yuaning's battle first. I'll go to the official website and check the video of your battle just now. Lu Qing sent a sweat-wiping emoji, nothing to see. It's an endurance battle between mercurial balance and focus on defense. Just go ahead and watch the beginning and the end. While replying, he found the guest seat and sat down. In the ring, after a short program to liven things up, Wang Yi and Zhou Yuaning entered the conversation time. The big screen broadcasted their every move and verbal confrontation to the audience. Before the match started, Yan Zhika had finished watching the video and sent a yawning emoji. The same guerrilla combat with mercurial balance. Why was it so exciting yesterday and so boring today? But your last close-range throw was really good. If you had been a little slower, you would have been hit by Tang Yu. Even if you didn't get hurt, you would have fainted for a short time. It felt a little risky. How would I dare to try if I wasn't sure? Seeing that his pride was seen through by his beloved girl, Lu Qing suddenly became more excited. As for whether it's interesting or boring, it all depends on the opponent's choice. It has nothing to do with me. Yan Zhika immediately replied, but their choices are all because you are heartless, cold, and unreasonable, Kang face. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. His eyebrows and eyes were filled with joy. If little Ming were here, he would probably say that this wasn't joy, but lust. Zhou Yuaning's match is about to start. He saw the referee looking at the electronic clock. Yan Zhika sent an emoji of an onion pushing up her sunglasses and said, look good. I've also prepared several videos of Wuthering 8 movements for you. You can study them in the afternoon. I asked my grandpa to recommend them. Thank grandpa for me. Lu Qing shamelessly called grandpa in his mind and felt warm in his heart. He snickered and said, you've already prepared them. No wonder you're the best coach. It's hard to repay your kindness. I must enter the top 16. The prize money is waiting for me. By the way, thank your grandpa for me. At this time, he completely forgot about his real master, Gizershur. Yan Zhika sent a proud emoji with shining teeth. It's good that you know my kindness. You seem to value the prize money very much? Of course. With the prize money, I can treat you to a better meal. Lu Qing deliberately said a little ambiguously. This wasn't a suggestion from Kai Zongming, who was guiding them from the sidelines. Instead, it was his own realization. He felt that the relationship between the two of them had improved significantly after the Great Ant incident. Therefore, he had to add a little more ambiguity. Otherwise, their relationship would evolve into a best friend, which would be a complete tragedy. After more than 10 seconds, Yan Zhika sent a proud smile emoji. At least you have a conscience. In the arena, the match had already started. Zhou Yuaning undoubtedly chose to fight with guerrilla warfare. He was like an unpredictable and unruly wind blowing around Wang Yi. It was hard to judge left and right. He was flexible and fast. When he seized the opportunity, he quickly approached and attacked firmly without hesitation. When he missed, he immediately fled. Facing such an enemy, Wang Yi could not take the initiative to attack like he did to Lu Qing, who was not fast enough and agile enough. He could only rely on the judgment of moves and his own coordination to reduce the enemy's range of movement. Therefore, he put on the posture of Tang Yu and firmly defended and counterattacked. Unlike Tang Yu, Wang Ye's vision and experience were powerful. Even if he couldn't only defend a few key points, he still calmly resolved Zhou Yuaning's attack again and again. He even almost relied on back thrust and horse kick to hit the opponent and win. Seeing that the match was in a stalemate, Lu Qing replied to a QQ message to Yan Zhika. I'm watching the match. I found that the guerrilla warfare of mercurial balance is not enough to face Zhou Yuaning's Wuthering 8 movements. I have to change my fighting style and take advantage of other advantages. The previous full-arm boxing master was defeated by you before he could do anything. This is the first time you really face an enemy with guerrilla warfare. It's also a rare experience accumulation. Yenjika snickered and teased Lu Cheng with the bold words he said before the match between him and Wu Shitong. At that time, Lu Cheng said, "In life, you will definitely meet an enemy that you don't know, but the opponent knows. This match will enrich my experience." Before he could reply, Yenjika sent another message. "I've checked a few gambling websites, and there are bets between you and Zhou Yuaning. Your odds are 1-2, and his is 1-1.5. This means that the professionals think the gap between you two is not big." This, because Lu Cheng had told her about the integrity competition, she had been curiously paying attention to Lu Cheng's odds for the past 2 days. Not only for a single competition, but also for entering the top 16, top 8, and even winning the championship. For example, the odds for Lu Cheng to win the championship was 1-565. In other words, it was almost impossible. If he really did create a miracle, even if he only bet 100 yuan, he could still win 56,500 yuan, not counting other things. Of course, the bets of such small matches were all in remote corners of the websites. Ordinary people could not find them at all unless they were professional gamblers or attentive followers. Well, the gap is so small. Lu Cheng was also surprised. Based on his own feeling, road to the arena, Zhou Yuaning was much better than him. He watched the match while waiting for Yenjika's reply. After a while, Yenjika said, "I've read the comments. It seems that many people are worried that Zhou Yuaning will be injured in the match with Wang Yi. After this match, the odds will change." "I see. My little heart is beating fast." Lu Cheng replied humorously. Yenjika sent a laughing emoji. "You are getting more and more funny." "Oh right, I was chatting in my class group just now. In high school, someone said that he met a martial arts genius who started to practice martial arts at the age of 17, and reached the professional 9th pin at the age of 19. It was really enviable. I have a friend who started to practice martial arts at the age of 18. He could beat an amateur first pin in 4 months, and could reach the professional 9th pin in less than a year. None of them believed me. They said that I was lying, that I was making up stories, that I became bad after I entered university, that I was no longer pure and cute, but what I said was the truth." Erkong hand. Lu Cheng was overjoyed. Yenjika subconsciously thought that his progress in martial arts was worth showing off. It was really a happy thing. And he also pretended to be bad *SS in the next class. It couldn't be more perfect. "Ha, if it wasn't me, I wouldn't believe your description either. I would only ask if he had supernatural powers or if there was anything special about him, such as the reincarnation of the living Buddha." Lu Cheng praised himself without leaving a trace. Yenjika covered her mouth and laughed. "They asked me the same question at first. I said no, I just have a talent for meditation and relatively abnormal physical strength. Then they said I was bragging and making up stories. Luckily I didn't say it was Lu Cheng in the next class. I'll show them one day." Lu Cheng snickered. Suddenly, he thought of something and pretended to ask a question that he had wanted to ask for a long time. "Didn't anyone help you? Did anyone in your class chase after you?" Yenjika was a girl with good character, good temperament and good looks. She should never be short of suitors and secret admirers. After sending the message, Lu Cheng's heart beat faster. He was afraid that he would see some bad news. He was so worried that he didn't even pay attention to the competition. Dozens of seconds later, Yenjika replied with a dazed expression. "My cousin gave me a nickname." "What kind of answer is this?" Lu Cheng asked in confusion. "What nickname?" "Classmate killer." Yenjika replied with an emoji of squatting in the corner and drawing circles. "I didn't want to. In high school, there were about 10 boys in our class and other classes who confessed to me and wrote love letters to me. There were also many boys in middle school. So it's called classmate killer, pft, so many. Lu Cheng felt the popularity of Yen Zhika for the first time. He replied with a sneering emoji, there should be more who didn't dare to confess and wrote love letters. For example, me at that time. Yen Zhika sent a sighing emoji. I basically only played with girls, but still. Ah, it's better not to have rotten peach blossoms. Hearing this, Lu Cheng was relieved. But he was confused about whether he was classified as rotten peach blossoms. He replied with a touching head emoji, don't worry about that nickname. You are still a student. Most of your friends must be classmates. You didn't do it on purpose. I am also a classmate, yes, yes. Yen Zhika replied with a nodding emoji. Just when Lu Cheng wanted to ask further about Yen Zhika's current suitors to figure out her potential love rivals, the battle between Wang Yi and Zhou Yuaning entered a white-hot stage. Wang Ye's defense was very stable. Even if there was a little negligence, he used iron palm to force Zhou Yuaning to retreat at the cost of a small wound. Seeing that he couldn't defeat Wang Yi after a long time, Road to the Arena tried his last crazy attack. He activated the fearsome hurricane and attacked Wang Yi continuously. It was as if a tornado had been set off around Wang Yi. Every attack of his was almost as powerful as Jin Tao's blast punch, and it was continuous. It showed that the level of professional ninth pin was not just for show. Wang Yi countered every move, attacking instead of defending. The sound of collision between the two was endless, with a faint metallic texture. Dozens of seconds later, with a muffled sound, the two figures separated. Zhou Yuaning stepped back a few steps, his hands trembling as if he wanted to get rid of the pain. But Wang Yi didn't show any abnormality. He stepped forward and hit again. Zhou Yuaning took a deep breath and tried to dodge with footwork. But he couldn't continue and was hit by Wang Ye's palm on his back. Wang Yi wins. The referee announced the result. This was expected, so Lu Cheng was not surprised. But when he saw Zhou Yuaning's hands gradually return to normal, as if he was not injured, he was both regretful and happy. Regretful that Zhou Yuaning was not injured, happy that Zhou Yuaning was not injured. While thinking, he saw Zhou Yuaning looking at the stand, looking at him. For eyes met, as if sparks were flashing. Tomorrow's battle, let's see who has the ability. Chapter 60. Looking at each other from a distance, Lu Cheng's heart was suddenly filled with a strong desire to fight, and the original regret disappeared. Yes, Zhou Yuaning had abandoned martial arts for several years, and he was no longer as victorious as before. In addition, he had consumed his strength and accumulated fatigue in the tight schedule of 1 or even 2 fights a day, which could not be fully recovered in a short time. Under such circumstances, he dared not to face him and challenge him openly. Did he have to put his hope on Wang Yi injuring him? No. This was not the fight he longed for. Fortunately, he was not injured. Otherwise, even if he appeared and got the prize money, he would be full of regret, feeling that he had taken a free ride from Wang Yi to succeed in breaking through. Fighting to one's heart's content, stepping over enemies of sufficient strength, and striding into the top 16 with one's head held high, this was the scene that he desired, the martial path that he pursued. If he lost, it could only mean that he did not have the strength, and he needed to review and make up for it. He would make a comeback in the future and prove what he had learned. The prize money was very important, but this was not the only way to earn money. He could not reverse the order of things. After thinking about this, Lu Cheng's many distracting thoughts faded away. He looked at Zhou Yuaning's eyes without a trace of cowardice or guilt. His body trembled slightly as if blood was flowing through his body. Looking at Lu Cheng in the guest seat, Road to the Arena, Zhou Yuaning felt that his eyes were firm and sharp, like an unsheathed sword, which made people not dare to look directly at him. I missed the feeling when I was in the professional martial arts circle. Zhou Yuaning whispered, and the desire to fight in his eyes grew stronger. Looking back, Lu Cheng took a breath and calmed his blood. Then he picked up the phone and sent the question he wanted to ask just now. He said to Yenjika with a smirk, "How many pursuers do you have now?" The prize money was not as important as the competition itself, but the competition tomorrow seemed to be less important than this. Yenjika replied with an emoji of lowering head and counting fingers, "I'm pretty sure there are four." Lu Cheng was shocked. This was a pretty sure number. However, considering Yenjika's popularity, 4 was actually not a lot. The biggest question was whether he was included in the 4. What did she think of him? What was her position? For a moment, Lu Cheng was a little worried. He pretended to be normal and said, "Haha, it's less than I thought." "Who are they?" "Because most of them stopped looking for me after I rejected them, so it doesn't count as them still pursuing me." Yenjika replied. "Not bad, I like how you reject people so straightforwardly." "Of course, don't reject me." Lu Cheng prayed to himself. So these 4 are the ones who keep fighting despite repeated defeats? There are also things that I didn't say clearly. I can't take the initiative to say no, right? How embarrassing and awkward would that be? What if there's a misunderstanding? We can only keep our distance and minimize contact. Yenjika sent a sighing onion. I'm the one who didn't make it clear. But judging from our recent conversations, she didn't keep a distance from me or reduce our contact. Lu Cheng felt sad at first, but then he felt happy as if he had seen the dawn of victory. Of course, it was also possible that she didn't realize that I was pursuing her. Lu Cheng's mind was full of ups and downs. He controlled his emotions and didn't let them show in his words. He sent another message, there must be high school classmates among the ones who keep fighting despite repeated defeats. Manual smiley face, yeah, there's one. If it weren't for the fact that he's my classmate, I would have blacklisted him. Now, he's always invisible on QQ. He'll never pretend to be online. Yenjika said with a crying face emoji. Lu Cheng replied happily, luckily he's not in Songcheng, or you'll be in trouble. There are 2 in Songcheng. Luckily, one of them is my senior, so our schedules don't overlap. When I'm free, I'll be in the martial arts club. Since the other one didn't say anything, I'll pretend I don't know and try not to contact him. Otherwise, it'll be really annoying. Yenjika sent a dumbfounded emoji. Being too popular also has its troubles. Lu Cheng replied. He was happy to know more about Yenjika's love life. Yenjika sent a leisurely monkey emoji. Yeah, a bunch of rotten peach blossoms. What about the other one? He also didn't say clearly. Lu Cheng wouldn't let go of any information about his potential love rival. Yenjika sent a thinking monkey emoji. Why are you asking so many questions? Damn, I've violated the taboo of Little Ming. Don't make girls feel like you're investigating me. Lu Cheng gave a hollow laugh and pretended to be normal. I'm just asking casually. I have no experience in love and no girl to pursue me. It's natural for me to be curious. He took the opportunity to praise himself again. There's no history in love. Yenjika sent a smirk emoji. Someone once said that you can't trust a man when he's bragging. She used Lu Cheng's words yesterday to tease him. Really? Look at my sincere eyes. Lu Cheng sent a dog emoji with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Okay, I'll trust you for now. Yenjika sent a covering mouth emoji and laughed. As for the other one, there's nothing to say. He's been cruelly rejected by me several times. He rarely comes to me recently. Not bad, not bad. That's how it should be. Lu Cheng gave Yenjika a thumbs up. Just as Little Ming had predicted, she was a very difficult girl to pursue. Otherwise, she would have had a boyfriend long ago. This was both a good and a bad thing. The good thing was that he didn't have to worry about his love rival. The bad thing was that he might not be able to pursue her and would be cruelly rejected. She just said that there were only 4 suitors, but it seemed that she didn't include me. Did she really not notice it, or did she find something and deliberately didn't mention it because she was chatting with me? Lu Qing didn't have the confidence to delve into this topic. He changed the topic and said, I'm going back to the hotel to focus on the battle tomorrow afternoon. For the prize money. For you to have a better meal. Hey, let me know when you get to the hotel. I'll send you the video recommended by my grandpa. Yenjika sent a laughing emoji. Lu Qing spent the whole afternoon and evening watching the video, talking with Yenjika about Wuthering 8 movements, and practicing in the small park. He gradually formed an idea in his mind. The guerrilla tactics are completely restrained by Wuthering 8 movements. I can't rely on mercurial balance this time. I have to change the way I play in the previous 2 matches. Lu Qing said to Yenjika. Yenjika sent an emoji with her hands crossed and said, Wuthering 8 movements continuous attacks are very strong and difficult to defend. Although you have improved quickly, you still lack actual combat experience. If you use Tang Yu's or Wang Ye's fighting style, I'm afraid you can't hold on until his strength is exhausted. If you use offense instead of defense, he can run away immediately. In short, it's very difficult to deal with him. I saw the discussion between Road to the Arena and others in the BBS. I found that they were prepared for all my strengths and were making changes, such as using abrupt force and rapid force. I was wondering if Zhou Yuaning would expose some problems when he used a fighting style that he wasn't used to, especially when he was attacking. Lu Qing poured out some vague thoughts in order to clear up his thoughts. After all, the battle was changing rapidly, and the initial plan might not be useful. It was always right to make more plans. They discussed for a long time until 10:30. Lu Qing was ready to go to bed and practice the fighting style in the morning. Qing, don't look at the BBS of Longhu Club before the match. It's easy to be disturbed by other people's comments and be influenced by those who don't like you, which will cause mental and emotional problems. Yenjika specially reminded him one good night. Don't worry, I'll restrain myself. By the way, what's the odds now? Lu Qing asked. Yenjika sent an emoji with a snicker and said, his odds are 1-1. 3, yours is 1-3. The pressure is on him. This is the odds including the principal. It shows that most people still think there is a big gap between me and Zhou Yuaning. Lu Qing exited QQ and closed his eyes. 1-1. 3-1-3. The next afternoon, Zheng and his companions stood in front of the betting station, looking at the odds of the match between Lu Qing and Zhou Yuaning. One of his companions laughed and said, then I'll bet 200 yuan on Zhou Yuaning. If Lu Qing wins, I'll lose money in exchange for happiness. If Lu Qing loses, I'll have money to comfort my soul. Good idea. Zheng's companions all expressed their agreement. After that, they all looked at Zheng, who had not moved all the time. Zheng, you don't want to bet? Zheng thought for a while and said, I still want to bet 100 or 200 yuan on Lu Qing to win. Do you think he can win? He had a chance to win the match with Wang Yi because of his careful arrangement. But it can't happen again. Once the trick is seen through, it will be useless. His companions advised. Maybe. Anyway, it's only 100 yuan. Just take it as the ticket for the challenge tournament. Zheng took out his wallet and joked, you can also bet on Lu Qing to win. If he makes an upset, you can lose less. Sister Lan, you don't want to bet? Yi Yaoding took out 10 100 yuan notes. Jiang Lan thought for a while and said, I'm not sure. I'd better not bet. How can you not be sure? Zhou Yuaning's fighting style can restrain Lu Qing, and there is a gap between their comprehensive strength. Yi Yaoding asked in surprise. Jiang Lan shook her head and said, but Zhou Yuaning's problems and shortcomings are also obvious. Then I'll bet on myself. Yi Yaoding was very confident. Senior brother, you actually bet on Lu Qing to win? Qin Jilin looked at Lu Yinglong in surprise. Lu Yinglong was also a young man. He smiled and said, just take it as his reward for helping us gain a lot in these matches. Let's see if there is a miracle. In several betting stations, similar conversations happened from time to time. The odds were still slightly adjusted, and the tone was still optimistic about Zhou Yuaning. Master Road, the first match is in the afternoon. Invincible Punch, Jin Tao, and Road to the Arena, Zhou Yuaning walked side by side to the martial arts stadium. Zhou Yuaning exhaled and said, "Good, we don't have to wait." Seeing Jin Tao's mobile phone screen was still shining, he asked, "What did the live broadcast post say?" Jin Tao laughed and said, "Xiaomu said that Lu Cheng's strength is not as good as that of an amateur first pin, so you don't have to worry about him. Xiaomu said that Lu Cheng was just lucky to be able to fight Wang Yi to that extent. Old Dragon, the plumber, and pig-riding uncle all want you to use your collective wisdom. Little Wonton and Shallow Sea Blue said that if Master Road loses, you have to expose your nipples and take photos." That little girl Brahmin first shouted for support, then asked for photos. "Hey!" Zhou Yuaning laughed and pulled his sleeves. "Help me reply that I appreciate everyone's support and will live up to their expectations. In the name of taking photos. As for the little girl, tell her that if I win, I'll take a photo with her new idol as the winner." While talking, the two entered the stadium, which was full of people. In the locker room, Lu Qing opened his eyes. His eyes were deep and calm. He looked at the digital clock and saw that there were still a few minutes before the start of the match. He stood up and stretched his body. Then he took out his mobile phone, logged on QQ and sent a message to Yan Zhika, "It's time for the match." Yan Zhika quickly replied, "What song do you want to listen to?" Lu Chen was delighted and snickered, "You still remember?" Before the match with Tang Yu, he had asked Yan Zhika to sing a song to cheer him on in the last match of the group competition. "Tell me what song, or I'll back out," Yan Zhika replied. Lu Qing thought for a while and typed with a smile, "Chase your dreams with a childlike heart, the climax." After waiting for a while, a long voice message came in. He clicked it open and heard Yan Zhika's clear and familiar female voice singing, "Run forward, facing the cold eyes and ridicule. How can you feel the vastness of life without suffering? Fate can't make us kneel and beg for mercy even if blood is shed in the arms. Keep running, with the childlike pride. How can you see the brilliance of life without perseverance? Instead of lingering on, why not burn heartily? One day it will sprout again." Listening to the song, Lu Qing opened the door of the locker room. "Then burn heartily." Chapter 61. Lu Qing had already walked the path from the locker room to the ring twice. It seemed that he could imagine his surroundings even with his eyes closed. More and more spectators, crowds of people, trumpets to create atmosphere and play for children, lights to illuminate the dim winter day, cameras set up everywhere, and the bluestone field that symbolized all the glory of a martial artist in the middle of all this clutter. No one is the best in literature, no one is the second best in martial arts. Not convinced? Then let's fight. Lu Qing stepped on the stone steps and the scenes after waking up in the morning suddenly appeared in his mind. His hotel room was only booked until today. His train home was at 8:00 in the evening. The front desk called to remind him to check out at noon and politely said that there was no room available and that he couldn't renew the lease. He put away his laptop, mouse, charger, etc. one by one, put on the Longhu Club martial arts suit that was finally dry, and put the clothes he took off into a bag and stuffed it into a big backpack. After doing all this, he carefully patrolled the room again in case he missed anything. The things that belonged to him in the room were all returned to his backpack. After living here for a few days, the familiar place once again became unfamiliar to him. However, he would not forget this place. He would definitely leave a corner for it in his memories, because it had witnessed his transformation day by day. It had witnessed his first rebirth on the path of martial arts cultivation. It had witnessed the first time in his life that he had ventured into a foreign land alone. Carrying the big backpack, he took one last look at the room and closed the door. He took the room card and went to the front desk to check out. From now on, he only had this last challenge tournament to tie him to Yenling. From this moment on, other than the bank card and mobile phone, all he had left was the money for dinner and a bus ticket to go home. Now, his backpack was in the locker room cabinet. After this battle, should he take the train and leave Yanling as planned? Or should he break through the obstacles, get the prize money, change the train ticket, and move to a better hotel? Lu Cheng's thoughts fluctuated. He only felt that he was now a different person from when he planned to come to Yanling for the competition. From the level of martial arts to the maturity of his mind, he was a real martial artist. He stopped at the left side of the ring and watched Zhou Yuaning come out from the other locker room. He watched him step on the brilliant lights, bathed in the light, and walked step by step up the stone steps to his opponent's position. Would he be his last opponent in this year's arena tournament, or would he become a stepping stone that would help him take a step forward and face even more powerful enemies? All his thoughts slowly settled down. Yan Zhika's voice echoed in his ears. He felt nervous and excited at the same time. More importantly, he felt the boiling blood of facing the challenge of a strong enemy. He took the initiative to speak. "I'm glad you weren't injured by Wang Yi." His voice was low and magnetic. When Zhou Yuaning heard it, he was obviously stunned. He seemed to feel Lu Cheng's strong fighting spirit and fearless confidence. "I'm also very happy to be able to fight you at your peak." Zhou Yuaning responded with a smile and looked straight into Lu Cheng's eyes. "Defeating you like this may be my biggest gain in this competition, more than the prize money I can get." Lu Cheng didn't have the habit of provoking and verbal confrontation. After expressing his true thoughts, he returned to silence. His mind went over his original plan for the last time. After 6 days and 7 battles, road to the arena. Zhou Yuaning's physical strength problem was quite obvious. For a martial artist with guerrilla fighting style, it was equivalent to losing half of his leg. When his abnormal physical strength was well known in Yanling, he would never take the initiative to adopt a similar strategy and wait for the opportunity to lose. At most, he would open up the distance when Lu Cheng was rising and disrupt the rhythm. In other words, Zhou Yuaning would rely on speed, agility and footwork to madly attack with furious wind, tornado wind and so on to create great pressure on Lu Cheng, forcing him to make mistakes and show flaws. Lu Cheng only had a few battles of actual combat experience, and he had been avoiding the pressure test. He had almost never carried out a simple defense that he couldn't get rid of. He either wandered around and looked for opportunities, or took the initiative to attack and suppress the opponent. Even if his experience was not zero, it was not much worse. In this case, the result could be imagined. Zhou Yuaning's strategy is basically certain, but how did he judge my choice? Lu Cheng made a reverse thought. From the live broadcast post on the Longhu Club forum, they all thought that he would use the mercurial balance to wander around and fight, so they let Zhou Yuaning use the flexibility of Wuthering 8 movements to reduce his range of movement, forcing him to meet force with force and be under the pressure of crazy attacks. Similarly, Zhou Yuaning judged that he had another choice based on his battle with Jin Tao, the invincible punch, which was to rely on his abnormal physical strength to attack instead of defense. He would use brutal blizzard to suppress the opponent and not give him a chance to fight back. He would try his best to delay time and wait for the bell of victory. For these two strategies, he should be prepared and able to judge on the spot. Maybe I can use this idea to guide him. Lu Cheng collected his thoughts and began to conceal his spirit and qi in order to enter meditation. All kinds of distracting thoughts were eliminated. He seemed to be in the quietest world. The shouts and trumpets around him were so far away but so clear, complementing the nearby sound of wind and breathing. Begin. The referee announced the start of the last afternoon match of the group stage. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Yuaning moved his waist and back, as if there was a wind in his body, pushing him toward Lu Cheng in a swift and violent manner. The distance between them was really close in the blink of an eye. Such speed and such agility were only a little worse than Yi Yaoting's leopard form. And this was Zhou Yuaning's performance after a few years of neglect. If he was in his heyday, he would be terrifying. Lu Cheng was on full alert, swaying his center of gravity. When Zhou Yuaning roared out, he bounced his spine, like a dragon soaring to the sky, and suddenly flashed to the left, the standard, mercurial center of gravity, fighting style. Such a response was within Zhou Yuaning's expectation. He tiptoed and his body turned a small arc, elegantly and quickly catching up with Lu Cheng. Wuthering 8 movements. Unruly wind. Lu Cheng had just made the beginning of the fighting style when his center of gravity suddenly sank, visualizing numerous snowy peaks in his mind. Boom! Lightning struck, the silver light was shining, setting off a prairie fire, shaking hundreds of millions of kilograms of snow. Boom! Big snow mountain avalanche. Lu Cheng's left shoulder sank and his feet stepped forward. Instead of dodging, he rushed toward, rode to the arena, Zhou Yuaning. Like an overwhelming white torrent, Lu Cheng's momentum was so fierce that many spectators exclaimed. He made the mercurial balance dodge to let his opponent think that he would use the fighting style of fighting. Once he approached, he would immediately counterattack with the fiercest blizzard and the most terrible avalanche. Facing this, Zhou Yuaning, like an invisible wind, suddenly stopped. Like a high-speed horse, he suddenly stood up, as if he had lost the shackles of the basic law of inertia. He stopped and then bounced again. He rose again and roared forward. The accumulated and compressed inertia just now turned into a terrible explosion, stirring up the airflow and making strange sounds. Whoosh! The two collided and strange sounds splashed. Lu Cheng was like being rolled in a hurricane. His strength was offset and his center of gravity was shaken, so he had to take 2 steps back. Zhou Yuaning took a little step back and then bounced out again, circling to Lu Cheng's side. Wuthering 8 movements, terrible hurricane. Bam! Zhou Yuaning shook his right arm and made an abrupt force, slashing toward Lu Cheng's neck with his palm. Lu Cheng had just stabilized his body and didn't have time to adjust his center of gravity. He raised his left arm and blocked the blow. He just wanted to borrow some strength from his opponent to hear some movement, but he felt that the force was like a gunpowder explosion, short, crisp, and explosive. He couldn't borrow or hear it. Bam! Zhou Yuaning moved quickly and circled to Lu Cheng's back, punching with abrupt force with his left fist. Lu Cheng twisted his waist and back, pushing his body to one side to avoid the blow. He straightened his legs and feet, like a fierce soft whip, sweeping backward. Zhou Yuaning's body bounced again. Following the sweeping momentum, he avoided the kick at an extremely fast speed. He was still behind Lu Cheng. Bam! Bam! He punched, kicked, elbowed, and chopped with palms. He used every part of his body alternately, like a tornado, and began to attack Lu Cheng continuously. During this process, Lu Cheng really felt tired. He had just blocked a palm, but his opponent had changed his position and punched again. If he hadn't swayed his opponent several times with his mercurial balance, he was afraid that he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. If it went on like this, he would use invisible wind and abrupt force alternately to attack to confuse his judgment, which would be troublesome. At that time, he would inevitably lose sight of one thing and lose sight of the other. He clearly anticipated Zhou Yuaning's fighting style and made countermeasures, but he still fell into such a situation. It could only be said that the gap between their strength was really big. At this moment, in Lu Cheng's frozen heart lake, a ripple suddenly appeared, and the muscles on his back felt a burst of strength. Not good. Zhou Yuaning had really mixed a silent palm into his 1-inch punch. Lu Cheng didn't have time to think carefully. According to his fighting instinct, he suddenly fell forward, so that his upper body and Zhou Yuaning's palm were separated. His left leg took advantage of the situation, and with a strong wind, he half-turned his body and kicked at his opponent, forcing Zhou Yuaning to withdraw his palm and dodge. Adjusting his muscles and changing his center of gravity, Lu Cheng maintained his balance. When his left leg fell, he straightened his back and steadied himself again. His right fist was ready to attack, guarding against Zhou Yuaning's following attack. He felt a burning pain on his back. Obviously, he had been hit by a palm, but he dodged forward in time, so he didn't get hit. He wasn't injured, just bruised or swollen. Fortunately, my reaction was fast enough. Lu Qing felt lucky, but Zhou Yuaning didn't take advantage of the situation. Instead, he retreated a few steps back, creating a distance, and made a long and heavy breathing sound. Why didn't he continue to put pressure on me? In the situation just now, I'm afraid I can't hold on for a few more times. Right, Yenjika mentioned that unlike brutal blizzard, which relies on listening and breathing to complete continuous attacks, Whirlwind of Wuthering 8 movements uses one breath to make continuous attacks to ensure speed and consistency. When you need to take a breath, you can use your body movement to create distance and quickly finish breathing. It's a characteristic of Wuthering 8 movements. Just now, it's not that Zhou Yuaning didn't want to continue to attack, but that he had reached the limit of this wave. While thinking, Lu Qing wanted to take the initiative to attack, but when he just closed the distance, Zhou Yuaning had finished adjusting and turned into a gust of wind again. This made him think, with Zhou Yuaning's physical strength, he could at most support 5 rounds of attacks like just now, but it was so difficult for him to block 1 round. Could he hold on for a few more rounds? P.S. Now that I'm off the new book list, the opportunity to show my face on the homepage is more important. Please support me with your recommendation votes. This chapter will be updated in advance, and the second one will be updated at noon. Chapter 62. On the stand, Yi Yaoting clapped her hands and said regretfully, "What a pity." Zhou Yuaning was about to win and make himself a small amount of pocket money. He didn't expect Lu Qing to be so smart and take advantage of the situation to protect himself. Jiang Lan sighed next to her. It's really a pity that Zhou Yuaning didn't seize this opportunity. He is still too cautious and neglected for many years. What he lost was not only physical strength and proficiency, but also the spirit in his chest. If he didn't consider taking a few steps back and directly held his breath for 1 or 2 more moves, the result would be in a few seconds, and the chance of winning would be more than 90%. Not retreating to take a breath meant that if he couldn't take down Lu Qing in 1 or 2 blows, Zhou Yuaning would lose the advantage of speed and body movement and be in an extremely bad situation. Once he was suppressed by Lu Qing's brutal blizzard, he might not be able to take a breath. Therefore, a quick decision really required a little bit of sharpness and courage. Speaking of this, Jiang Lan shook her head. The scale of victory is beginning to change. Ah. Sister Lan, you mean Lu Qing's chance of winning has increased? Impossible. Zhou Yuaning's physical strength is still enough for 4 or 5 rounds of crazy attacks. Yi Yaoting frowned. Jiang Lan smiled slightly. You will know if you continue to watch. Unlike them who could calmly analyze, the mood of the audience had been like a roller coaster because of the competition just now. They were worried or happy that Lu Qing was about to be hit by a palm, and then they were shocked by his self-rescue on the edge of the cliff. Even those who bet on Zhou Yuaning couldn't help but applaud. In a short time, the edge of victory and defeat was hovering around. This is a martial arts competition. Lu Qing's mercurial balance couldn't keep up with Zhou Yuaning's body movement changes. Even if he fought with him, he was often entangled by him. Facing the upcoming second round of tornado wind, facing the expected thrilling situation, he was a little nervous. But with the previous round of experience, he was no longer unfamiliar with dealing with similar situations. Some things had become instinct. As long as Zhou Yuaning is in my sight, I have a lot of confidence to resist whether it's abrupt force or invisible wind. What I am most afraid of is his sudden attack from behind and the blind spot at that time. Thinking of this, Lu Qing raised his right arm and put it beside his face, blocking Zhou Yuaning's palm from the side. When the two collided, Zhou Yuaning tiptoed and circled to Lu Qing's back. His abnormal mercurial balance, like a ghost, but with a little wind and unruly. Lu Qing had a similar idea. He was in a similar situation. He instinctively made a decision in his mind. From top to bottom, driving to the opponent. Imitating Tang Yu's mammoths. The wind surged, Zhou Yuaning's footwork changed, his back bounced and he shot to the left. At this moment, Lu Qing adjusted his muscles, moved his spine like a dragon, and changed his center of gravity. He dispersed the inch force, reversed the downward swing of his right arm, twisted his waist in the opposite direction, tightened his thighs, and swept out his left leg towards Zhou Yuaning, who was dodging this way. If he didn't have a mercurial balance and a certain degree of coordination and control of his own muscles, he would be considered lucky if he didn't sprain his waist. He wouldn't be able to exert any strength and kick. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had reserved some strength and was prepared for this. Bang! Zhou Yuaning had no time to avoid. He put his left arm down and blocked Lu Cheng's whip kick. His body slightly sank and temporarily lost his agility. With this contact, Lu Cheng heard Zhou Yuaning's movement and borrowed a little strength. He put his left leg down, twisted his waist, and turned to face Zhou Yuaning. His right leg followed up with a kick. Like the biting cold north wind in winter, he wanted to put Zhou Yuaning in the suppression of brutal blizzard. Zhou Yuaning's expression didn't change. There seemed to be a storm forming in his dark eyes. He clenched his right hand into a fist and suddenly chopped, as fast as a gust of wind. Bang! He faced Lu Cheng's strong attack head-on and beat back the whip kick. Lu Cheng almost couldn't keep his center of gravity, so naturally he couldn't follow up with the momentum of brutal blizzard. Wuthering 8 movements, a unique skill, horrible hurricane. After blocking, Zhou Yuaning opened up the distance again and started to breathe again. See? Jiang Lan pointed to the arena and said to Yi Yaoting. Yi Yaoting frowned with a puzzled face. Why do I feel that this kid is enlightened? I have watched all the videos of his previous matches. At the beginning, his inexperience and unfamiliarity are obvious. That is to say, he is constantly learning the nutrients and game experience of the battle. He improved after every battle, and that's how he got today. In the previous few battles, he was not suppressed and could only passively defend. Facing Zhou Yuaning, at the beginning, he was naturally more inexperienced and had a lot of flaws. When he adapted and had experience, the scales of victory will certainly change. Jiang Lan sighed. Yi Yaoting looked at her in surprise. You mean he was a standard rookie before? Isn't this growth rate a little too fast? Some people are really good at growing in battle. Of course, the weaker they are, the more they gain. Didn't we also have such a period of time in the past where we could clearly feel progress every time we fought? Jiang Lan sighed. Yi Yaoting was silent for a moment and asked, Sister Lan, who do you think has a higher chance of winning now? Of course, Zhou Yuaning. Jiang Lan laughed. If he is only at the current level, he doesn't deserve to be called professional ninth pin. Her voice just fell, Zhou Yuaning once again closed the distance, and there seemed to be a wind in the arena. Lu Qing only felt that he was almost forming a real small tornado around himself, and he felt that he was about to be attacked from all directions. Whoosh! A strong and strange wind sounded. Lu Cheng's heart was cold and instinctively had fear. In his mind, a silver lightning suddenly struck down, igniting a prairie fire. Lightning and fire stance. The hot flow surged. Lu Cheng pushed his right arm in front of his body and collided with Zhou Yuaning's single whip, whistling over. Bang! Lu Cheng's body shook, and his arm was almost pressed in front of his body. He felt the majestic strength of the opponent. If he didn't use lightning and fire stance in time, he was afraid that his stance would be broken. Zhou Yuaning tiptoed, circled to the side, leaned forward, and punched with his left fist from bottom to top, like the recoil of a spring compressed to the extreme. Lu Qing didn't dare to neglect. His bent left arm suddenly opened, like a long spear ready to shoot, and blocked the attack. In his mind, the lightning continued to strike, and there was the scene of the collapse of the towering snowy peak. Bang! A muffled sound broke out. Lu Cheng's avalanche force was not evenly matched with Zhou Yuaning's. His center of gravity shook again, and he couldn't borrow the force, nor could he interfere with Zhou Yuaning's movement. In the next short time, Zhou Yuaning launched continuous attacks from all directions. The power of each attack was a little stronger than Lu Cheng's Mega Avalanche and Lightning and Fire stance. He was suppressed to the point of collapse, and it seemed that he would never wait for the hurricane to stop. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of blocking continued. Although Lu Cheng had the Jin Dan to replenish his strength, and he was not afraid of slowing down, but under this pressure, many problems were gradually magnified in the connection between the moves. How long can he last under this level of attack? Just when the thought flashed, Lu Cheng saw Zhou Yuaning circle to the front of him again, as if incarnated into a storm, and hit with his fist. The air was full of whistling sounds. And he himself had just finished dealing with the side and rear attack, and his current posture was very awkward. In the face of this attack, his strength was not fast enough, and the connection was half a beat too short. He could barely make a blocking posture, and there was a bad feeling in his heart. Bang! Lu Cheng's defense posture was directly opened, and his chest and abdomen were completely exposed to Zhou Yuaning's follow-up attack, just like Guan Yan who lost to Yi Yaoding. According to his past experience, the game was basically over. As long as the opponent leaned or hit, he could easily win. However, Lu Cheng had never thought of admitting defeat. His heart was as calm as ice. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind as he searched for the only way to avoid the following attacks. Good! The sound of exclamation was deafening. Yi Yaoding gently clapped for the pocket money she was about to get. At this moment, Lu Cheng suddenly leaned back, as if he didn't want his center of gravity. His right leg kicked, driving his body to half-turn, and slapped Zhou Yuaning's fist to hit his chest and abdomen. Iron Bridge. Dragon turning over. This was not a unique skill, but an extreme confidence in his ability to control his center of gravity. It was the dismantling and reorganization of 24 blizzard strikes. Of course, Lu Cheng had no other way. Bang! His right leg kicked Zhou Yuaning's follow-up attack. Because he kicked from the bottom to the top, the rebound was naturally from the top to the bottom, as if someone pressed the lever. Bang! Lu Cheng bounced his spine and straightened his back. Using the momentum, he stood up again and swung his right arm at the enemy in front of him like a carp flip. Zhou Yuaning took a step, immediately circled to his right side, and bombarded him with another blast punch. Suddenly, Lu Cheng's right arm stopped, and his left palm came out from under his armpit, and narrowly blocked Zhou Yuaning's attack. When he bounced up, he had already thought about how to deal with the follow-up attack. He deliberately slapped with his right arm, revealing a corresponding flaw, in order to imitate Wang Yi, waiting for Zhou Yuaning's attack with Finding the Moon in the Sea. Bang! Fist and palm collided, and the power exploded. They were evenly matched. What? Lu Cheng only felt that Zhou Yuaning's power was much weaker than before. Was his breath coming to an end? Lu Cheng subconsciously visualized the momentum of the gale in his mind, and broke out in advance. He stepped to Zhou Yuaning next to him, believing in his judgment and not considering other possibilities. His heart was not the slightest bit shaken. Just when he was ready, he saw Zhou Yuaning was trying to open up the distance with the wind. The gale in his heart roared more vigorously, and he strode, madly chasing. My judgment is right. Although his speed was not as fast as Zhou Yuaning's, and the distance between the two of them was constantly increasing, he still had the upper hand. It was not like before when he couldn't catch up and had already started to speed up. Compared to the distance when he was adjusting his breath before, the current distance was not safe for Zhou Yuaning at all. Zhou Yuaning couldn't hold it anymore. He opened his mouth and exhaled a big mouthful of turbid air, and his body slowed down. Lu Cheng immediately caught up, lowered his shoulder and crossed his elbow, and slammed forward like an avalanche torrent to tear the city wall. Zhou Yuaning took a deep breath, lowered his waist, and crossed his arms to block Lu Cheng's collision. He didn't have time to use the abrupt force, and his body swayed. Lu Cheng heard the change, borrowed the strength, and straightened his body. His right hand punched out like a blast, and the brutal blizzard seemed to come between them. Bang, bang, bang. Zhou Yuaning blocked several times, but because of his breath, he couldn't escape from Lu Cheng's crazy and fierce attack, and temporarily lost the advantage of body movement. In the heat of the battle, Lu Cheng suddenly let out a roar, like a sudden clap of thunder on the ground. Open for me. He clenched his left fist, and his whole body seemed to expand. He was condescending, and the rolling momentum was unstoppable. Bang! Zhou Yuaning's defense was directly broken. His arms swung open, and the space between his chest and abdomen was exposed, just like Lu Cheng just now. Disregarding his status, he also fell backwards, trying to use the iron plank bridge and the donkey roll to avoid the attack. But his body suddenly felt empty. Without the support of the breath in his chest, he fell down stiffly. He had reached the limit of the breath he had before. Lu Cheng took a step forward, shortened the distance, lowered his body, and punched out his arm, tearing the air, making a crisp sound, and paused at Zhou Yuaning's throat. Lu Cheng wins. The referee's voice echoed between the two, as if it came from the horizon. The whole martial arts stadium was silent, and even the sound of a needle falling could be heard. Lu Cheng was in a trance, as if he was in a dream. Today's fight was the most thrilling one so far. He fell to the edge of failure twice, and almost went home with his luggage. Relying on luck, strength, judgment, spirit, and courage, he grasped the fleeting dawn. Victory or defeat is only a thought. Bonus, here I come. P.S. I actually stayed in the first place for a while. What a surprise. Second update, victory, please recommend me. Chapter 63. He actually won. On the stand, Yi Yaoting's expression was a little distorted. She was both shocked by the change of the game and painful for her own pocket money. If Lu Cheng had bitterly supported Zhou Yuaning's indiscriminate bombardment and won at the end by exhausting his physical strength, she could barely accept it. But the reality was that Lu Cheng immediately counterattacked after Zhou Yuaning's most ferocious wave of attack and defeated his opponent head-on. Physical strength advantage was a part of the factor, but not the main one. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. Jiang Lan beside her smiled slightly and said, "Fortunately, I didn't bet." Yi Yaoting glanced at her and said, "Sister Lan, don't mention it." How did he win? Didn't I say earlier that Zhou Yuaning's problems and shortcomings are equally obvious? Jiang Lan smiled and said, "The biggest impact of the lack of actual combat for several years is not only the decline of martial arts level and physical strength, but also the loss of sharpness in the chest. The former two can be barely maintained by daily hard training, but the latter can't be polished without actual combat. It's like a sharp sword, if it is not used for a long time and is not maintained, sooner or later it will become blunt. When it is necessary to make a decision and fight, it will become not brave enough and confident enough." Yi Yaoting said thoughtfully, "No wonder martial arts pay attention to actual combat, momentum, and the breath in the chest. In the arena where the danger of life is reduced a lot, losing sharpness, lack of confidence in your own judgment, and hesitation at the critical moment will lead to defeat to the weak, not to mention the ancient battle of life and death." Yes, Zhou Yuaning had at least 2 opportunities to defeat Lu Cheng, but he missed them because of caution. Instead, Lu Cheng seized the fleeting changes and did not hesitate to press forward and end the battle ahead of time. There is no need to compete with endurance. Jiang Lan flicked her hair. Even the professional martial artists were shocked and flabbergasted by the results of the competition, not to mention the spectators. There was a strange silence around the martial arts arena, with only the sound of the little brats blowing their trumpets occasionally echoing in the air. They blew and stopped, looking around timidly. They didn't understand why the adults suddenly stopped talking. After 20 or 30 seconds, all kinds of sounds suddenly burst out. There were exclamations, praises, cheers, curses, applause, and shouts. Lao Zheng's face was flushed red. He clapped like crazy as if he couldn't feel the pain. After a long time, he finally stopped. He looked at his companion beside him in excitement and said with a smile, "Lu Cheng is really amazing. He actually took down a professional ninth pin fighter." Although he was a former professional ninth pin, he was still a professional ninth pin fighter. "I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. I thought he was the strongest below professional ninth pin. Old Zheng, you're amazing. Not only did you enjoy the thrill of winning the competition, but you also got the money you won from the bet." His companions all had different reactions. Old Zheng chuckled and said, "Even with the capital, it's only 300 yuan. Let's cut some braised intestines, mix it with pig head meat, buy a few bottles of wine, and have some fun at my house? All right. I'll eat you." The small matter of winning or losing was instantly thrown to the back of his mind. Lu Cheng won. Qin Jilin rubbed his eyes, suspecting that he was hallucinating. How could he see a professional ninth pin fighter being knocked to the ground by Lu Cheng? Lu Yinglong stared blankly for a long time before he sighed and said, "It's only been a few days, but why do I feel like several years have passed? At the beginning, I thought I lost because of my carelessness. If I had been more cautious, I might have won. But now, I'm sure the gap between us is so big that I can't catch up in a short time. Ha, I even suspect that he's a different person. He really won." Qin Jilin turned to look at elder senior brother. Lu Yinglong looked at the arena and nodded solemnly. "Yes, he won. He really won. He beat a professional ninth pin fighter. I didn't expect to witness the birth of a miracle." Qin Jilin muttered to himself. In other places, the young lovers and the audience were still shouting and venting. For many people, after witnessing the event of the weak defeating the strong, they naturally had two kinds of feelings. One was jealousy, fear, and worry that the inherent order would be disturbed. Hatred, cursing, and wailing for their wallets were based on other reasons. The second was to put themselves in the shoes of others and have feelings of admiration. The strong were undoubtedly revered, and the weak who could challenge the strong and win was even more admirable. One day, would they be able to do the same? In their eyes, although Lu Cheng on the arena looked ordinary, he was young and spirited and heroic. Seeing Zhou Yuaning stand up, Lu Cheng was still a little absent-minded. Joy echoed in his heart, producing a hearty and refreshing feeling. It was like going through hardships in an ocean without hope, tasting danger, wandering between life and death, and finally seeing the horizon at the end of the sky. That moment of touching, that moment of joy, couldn't be described with words. This was the best taste of victory. He had really defeated a mighty one of professional ninth pin. Even if he wasn't in his best state, even if he was weakened multiple times, he was still a professional ninth pin fighter. Because the opponent was a member of the forum, and his heart was full of the joy of winning, Lu Cheng said very graciously, "I almost lost twice just now." Yes, if Zhou Yuaning was a little more daring, a little more determined, and a little more courageous, the one celebrating the victory would be him instead of Lu Cheng. So this was a comprehensive competition of luck, strength, judgment, spirit, and courage. Zhou Yuaning shook his head and sighed, "Only once, that was when I hit your back. If I had taken the risk, maybe the result would have been different. As for the second time, I was greedy. When you stood up again on the iron bridge, my breath was already close to the limit. I should have immediately opened up the distance, but with the regret of the previous missed opportunity, I was greedy and added another blow. You took advantage of the flaw and won the game in one go." Ha, I was in a dilemma. No, what I mean is that when you took my kick on the iron bridge, you directly returned a whip kick to me, which is very likely to exchange injury for victory. Lu Cheng recalled that time and said sincerely. Because he was seeking victory in defeat, his dragon turning over body kick actually had many flaws, but his courage overwhelmed Zhou Yuaning, making him choose a more reliable way. For Zhou Yuaning, this was a challenge tournament, not a life and death game. Zhou Yuaning was stunned, and showed a trace of a smile. "So it is. No wonder the older generation often say that, the strong fear the young. Before reaching physical invulnerability, what they fear is not only the young's body and strength, but also their courage and spirit. After sighing, he was not in the mood to say more, nor was he in the mood to take photos. He quickly walked to the stone steps and quickly left the arena. His personal belongings were locked in the locker room, and there was no need to take them back from the competition supervisor. Standing on the arena, watching Zhou Yuaning's back disappear at the end of the brilliant lights, Lu Qing felt as if he had become the king of this bluestone field, the only king, receiving worship and enjoying power. Master Lu. Jin Tao waited outside the locker room for a long time until Zhou Yuaning came out. After calling him, he didn't know what to say. At this time, words of comfort were more like opening a scar and poking a wound. Zhou Yuaning's hair was dripping wet, and he said with a bitter smile, "Don't say anything, accompany me to drink 3 or 5 bottles." "Okay." Jin Tao immediately answered. Zhou Yuaning thought for a while and said, "I won't be on the forum for at least a week. It's too damn embarrassing. ****, photos and so on, you help me to post." Just thinking about it made him panic. He had made a bold statement, but lost to a nobody. Just thinking about it made him panic. It was better to wait for things to die down and then go back to posting. Lu Qing took back his mobile phone from the competition supervisor and walked to the locker room. He was ecstatic and couldn't wait to share it with Yan Zhike. To be honest, if Zhou Yuaning didn't leave so quickly, he was so happy that he wanted to expose his identity on the forum and take the opportunity to meet a gay person or something. He opened QQ and was about to send a message when he saw the voice message that he had saved before. His ears seemed to be echoing a clear and passionate song, and he was a little dazed for a while. Subconsciously, he swiped his finger, opened the address book, and called Yan Zhike. At this moment, he wanted to hear Yan Zhike's voice again, and wanted to tell her the victory personally. Hearing the ringtone, Lu Qing was a little nervous, but more than that, he was happy and expectant. "Hello, Qing." The phone was connected, and Yan Zhike's familiar voice sounded. Lu Qing blurted out, "I won." There was a short silence at the other end of the phone, and the breathing seemed to be a little heavier. "Really? I don't study much, don't lie to me." Yan Zhike's voice was a little more surprised. Apparently, she had believed it. "Listen, the shouts around." Lu Qing put the phone on speaker, facing the stands outside the locker room, and the shouts of Lu Qing were still endless. I feel like I'm dreaming. To be honest, don't be angry, I don't have much confidence." Yan Zhike said. Lu Qing turned off the speaker, entered the locker room, and sat on the metal bench. He answered with a smile, "I didn't have much confidence either, but I have your cheering song, right? It's more powerful than ordinary cheering, and at least it helped me increase my strength by 2 times. Yan Zhike tried hard to suppress her laughter, and after a while, she said, "You're so funny." After that, there was silence between them, and the sound of breathing was faintly heard through the receiver and the radio waves. "I feel like I can't chat without the emoji package." Lu Qing took the initiative to make a joke. Yan Zhike also laughed and said, that's right, the conversation has become rusty. Come on, tell me honestly, how did you beat the professional 9th pin? She deliberately used the tone of chatting on the internet to ease the awkwardness of the first phone call. "I almost failed twice." Lu Qing described the key points of the competition, paying attention to the interaction between him and Yan Zhike instead of saying everything in one breath. When he talked about his victory, the conversation between them became smooth and familiar again. "Hey, thanks to Coach Yan for telling me about the Qi of the Wuthering 8 movements, or I wouldn't have been able to seize that opportunity." He took the opportunity to praise Yan Zhike again. Yan Zhike chuckled and said, "I make a living with my brain." "And the cheering song," Lu Qing added. Yan Zhike snorted and said, "It's just a whim." After that, she changed the topic and said, "Qing, I just found out that after the new year, you'll be the 2nd master of the martial arts club. It's only been a while, but I feel like you're possessed by an alien." Her laughter tickled Lu Cheng's ears, and the joy in Lu Cheng's heart gradually became longer and more meaningful. He smiled and said, I think you've already mastered the yin-yang stance and part of the 24 blizzard strikes, but you don't have any actual combat experience. When you practice in this aspect, you'll definitely have the strength of the amateur third pin. How about this? After the new year, I'll often accompany you in actual combat and let Coach Shi be the referee. He instinctively wanted to have more contact with Yan Zhike and have more common experiences. Okay, you'll be a good punching bag, Yan Zhike said in a fierce tone. When they were chatting happily, Wang Yi finished the competition and walked into the locker room. Seeing Lu Cheng on the phone, he gave him a thumbs up. Lu Cheng responded with a smile, and at the same time introduced the rules of the draw for the top 16 to Yan Zhike. In other words, the first of each group will draw the second of each group, and the same group will avoid each other. Then your opponent tomorrow is either a professional 9th pin or a mighty one of the Danqi stage. Cheng, I can only say that you enjoy the battle and enjoy the martial arts, Yan Zhike said in a joking tone. The professional 9th pin in her words was not like Zhou Yuaning, but the best among the professional 9th pin. Lu Cheng also replied with a smile, I think so too. Tomorrow I'll just enjoy the competition and the battle, and I'll get the prize money later. Hee, I can carry my luggage and go to Yanling to taste the local delicacies. He could also find a better hotel to stay in. While talking, he thought of the big backpack in the cabinet. According to the original plan, he should go to the train station and return to Shushan. Unexpectedly, he actually made it to the top 16. At the beginning, even he didn't dare to have such a fantasy. He thought it was too ridiculous. But now, as one of the top 16 in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, if he didn't hurry up and book a hotel, it was very likely that he would sleep on the street, the local delicacies of Yanling. Let me see, Yan Zhike said with great interest. I think there's a famous white flour mutton soup. Then I'll try it, Lu Cheng said happily. The phone call lasted more than 40 minutes. Lu Cheng's phone was hot and the battery was running low. If it wasn't for Yan Zhike's grandma, Lu Cheng felt that he would have continued talking. After chatting on QQ for a while, he booked a hotel. It was 400 or 500 yuan a night. Although it was a little expensive, he still wanted to be extravagant as he was about to get the prize money. This time, he booked 2 nights. He didn't want to rush too much. Because of the arrival of the Spring Festival, he couldn't get the train ticket back home. He had to wait for the next wave. After tomorrow's match, it was time to call Master and tell him the good news. It was time to show off in front of Kai Xiaoming. When he got home, he would have the courage and confidence to talk about practicing martial arts. At least his current performance showed that he could still make a living. Lu Cheng thought. When it was almost 5:00, the top 16 was confirmed. Lu Cheng saw his name and the familiar yet strange enemy at the first moment. Yi Yaoding, Lu Cheng. P.S. About the cover, haha, it cost me hundreds of yuan. I'd better hang it up for a few days. Waste material is recycled. Looking for recommendation votes. Chapter 64. It's that freakishly strong woman. Lu Cheng didn't feel anything and even wanted to laugh. His opponent was destined to be one of the best fighters of professional 9th pin or even one of the masters of Danqi State. It was just a matter of probability to draw Yi Yaoding, which couldn't affect his mood at all. I've drawn that freakishly strong woman I mentioned before. He sent a message to Yan Zhike with a snicker emoji, leisurely and relaxed. After the battle with Zhou Yuaning, he had a clear understanding of his current level. His strength was only of amateur 2nd or 3rd pin, but his strength involved Danqi and martial arts. He had many advantages and abnormal physical strength. If he fully exerted his strength without being restrained, he had a stable fighting ability of amateur 1st pin. When he had the upper hand in all aspects such as mentality, state, and willpower, he had the hope to challenge Zhou Yuaning, who was obviously a problem with a professional ninth pin. But this was his current limit and there was no hope for him to fight a stronger opponent. On the road of martial arts, self-confidence was very important, but so was self-knowledge. Lu Cheng had a good mentality and knew that he had only practiced martial arts for 4 months. Although he had made great progress, his shortcomings were also obvious, which couldn't be made up for in a few days of actual combat. Yan Jika quickly replied to a clapping monkey emoji, not bad. You stole from her and won the second round. Tomorrow it's payback. Ah me tofu, everything is predetermined. This girl, Yi something, is good at tiger and leopard forms. She's fast, agile and has freakishly strong. I'm afraid she'll be difficult to deal with, don't be so tactful. You mean I'm afraid I'll lose cleanly, and I want to leave the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament with dignity. Lu Cheng deliberately used a wronged emoji. Yan Jika sent a smoking emoji of a singing god, that's what you said. I didn't say that. Anyway, enjoy the battle and enjoy the martial arts. She used the old joke again. Ha, let's not think about this match. Anyway, it's tomorrow afternoon. I'll relax and have a good rest tonight. Lu Cheng sent a happy declaration. He didn't want to spend the night watching videos and analyzing the battle. There were 4 matches in the morning and 4 in the afternoon for the top 16. The key matches would be broadcasted by Yanling TV. Although there would not be many viewers, it was still considered more formal. It would be very difficult for a martial arts battle to fill 3 hours with 4 matches. In between, there would definitely be performances such as singing and dancing, boxing, as well as interactive activities with the audience. The reason why the tickets for the first year of the Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament were all free was to attract attention and attract the audience, as well as to accumulate experience in crowd control. Lu Cheng. Yi Yaoting looked at the table and was stunned for a while. After a long time, she gnashed her teeth and said, "Give me back my pocket money." Jiang Lan, who was beside her, laughed and said, "I didn't expect you to meet each other. Then I can bet on you winning tomorrow. I must make him understand the consequences of cheating my money." Yi Yaoting deliberately made herself laugh evilly. Next, the top 16 contestants gathered in the small conference room where they had signed the integrity contract last time to receive the 5,000 yuan bonus. When Lu Cheng stepped in, he was glanced at by many people. Some were curious, some were sizing him up, and some were admiring him. Compared to the silence in the corner last time, he seemed to have become the focus of the crowd. This was inevitable. No matter where he went, the fact that he defeated a fighter of professional ninth pin as a rankless fighter was worthy of attention. Li Xiaoyuan waved his hand and signaled Lu Cheng to sit over there. Lu Cheng, of course, was willing to sit with someone he knew, so he walked a small circle to the corner. When he passed by Yi Yaoting, he was glared at by her. "Why are you staring at me? I didn't do anything to her, did I?" Lu Cheng was confused, but he did not bother to think about it. Anyway, after tomorrow, they would be at opposite ends of the world. There would be no chance for them to meet again. "You owe Yi Yaoting money," Li Xiaoyuan joked. Lu Cheng shook his head blankly. "I don't even know her. Maybe she has a crush on me and suspects that we have an improper relationship." Li Xiaoyuan chuckled and put on a serious face. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched twice and glanced at him. "Boy. Watch your image. Don't make such a heavy joke. Be a good artistic youth." This guy's appearance of a banished immortal was too deceptive. Hey, isn't it good to be happy in life? Besides, Yi Yaoting and I are not on good terms. When she sees that we look like friends, of course she hates you. Li Xiaoyuan spread his hands. Being from Yanling, as one of the most outstanding fighters among the young generation, he and Yi Yaoting had crossed paths before. Lu Cheng's curiosity was aroused. He asked with interest, "How did you offend her? Or did she do something to you?" Li Xiaoyuan lowered his voice and said, "It's mainly because I think she looks very strange." Someone spread the news to her. Lu Qing subconsciously looked at Yi Yaoting. Her eyebrows were thick, her nose was straight, and her eyes were not too big, but they were full of spirit. She looked quite pretty. Although she was not as beautiful as Yan Zhika, she was far from being strange. You really think she looks strange? Lu Qing also lowered his voice and asked. Li Xiaoyuan nodded seriously. Yes. Lu Qing thought for a while and patted Li Xiaoyuan's shoulder. Boy, you need to get a pair of glasses. It's my honest advice. Then he added, why do I feel like you're still joking? Li Xiaoyuan looked relaxed. My aesthetic sense has been criticized since I was a child. You're not the only one. After 2 contacts, Lu Qing found that Li Xiaoyuan was really easy to get along with. Lu Qing was about to say something else when the person in charge of the competition had already walked up. Behind him were bodyguards carrying a black box. When the box was opened, there were bright red $100 bills inside. The other bodyguards were also carrying money detectors and other items. I wanted to give everyone a card with a password ending with a number. But 5,000 is not necessary. Let's just give it in cash. The person in charge of the competition picked up a stack of bills and counted them with the money detector. It was exactly 5,000. Obviously, he had already prepared it. After checking each stack, the bodyguards distributed the bills according to the order of the seats. Lu Qing felt a heavy sense of satisfaction as soon as he held the thick bills in his hand. Money was still very magical. Without them, he would have to sleep on the streets tonight. If he didn't use his own money or change the ticket refund money, he would have to starve tomorrow. Without them, he wouldn't be able to enjoy the delicious food tonight. He would still have to eat simple meals. Without them, he would have to make ends meet with Yan Zhika at the beginning of the school year. And this was the first money he had earned in his life, the first pot of gold he had earned with his own ability. He was no longer a child who simply relied on his parents. On the bus, Lu Qing carried his luggage and changed into his daily clothes. He looked at the navigation map leisurely. There were only 2 more stops before he reached the Yanling Zhang's white noodles and mutton soup restaurant that Yan Zhika had mentioned. He had found a bank nearby and deposited most of his prize money into his card. He only had 1,500 yuan left on him for hotel accommodation and daily expenses. He felt that his budget was quite sufficient. I feel like I've become a millionaire. Lu Qing sent a message to Yan Zhika. Yan Zhika laughed with her hand over her mouth. Yeah, Qing is really awesome. Other people can't earn this much even if they work part-time for a month. You're exaggerating. Lu Qing sent a dumbfounded emoji. Yan Zhika replied to leisurely monkey pounding his chest. I learned it from you. While chatting and laughing, Lu Qing got off the bus and followed the map into a small alley. Near a residential area with at least 20 years of history, he found the Yanling Zhang's white noodle mutton soup restaurant. It was not even 5:30 yet, but there were already people lining up in the cubicle. The restaurant was full, which showed how good the business was. After waiting for half an hour, Lu Qing finally got his turn. He was led to the smallest table, a table for 4. I feel weird sitting at a table for 4 by myself. Lu Qing sent a dumbfounded emoji to Yan Zhika. Yan Zhika sent an emoji of an onion pushing up her glasses. Now you know the sorrow of being single. That's why I never eat a big meal alone. Do you want me to put my phone across and pretend that you're here? Lu Qing laughed evilly. Yan Zhika sent a scolding emoji. You want me to see but not eat? Are you trying to break off our friendship? Time flew while they were chatting. Lu Cheng's order was soon delivered. A bowl of milky white fish and mutton soup, a bowl of sliced mutton, and a bowl of white bread recommended by the restaurant owner. Lu Cheng drank a mouthful of soup first and felt his mouth was full of freshness. He couldn't help but drink a few more mouthfuls. He wanted to give 128 likes. It was said that the fish and mutton soup in this restaurant was first boiled with crucian carps and then stir-fried mutton in the middle. It was cooked with secret seasonings until the soup turned white. The taste was rich but not greasy. The white flatbread was eaten in imitation of the Northwest style of eating steamed buns. It was broken into several pieces and placed into the soup to absorb the delicious juices. With one bite, the freshness of the soup and the wheat fragrance of the flatbread blended together, making one want to swallow their tongue. Compared to this, the sliced mutton was quite ordinary, even if it was not bad. Lu Qing chatted while eating. He took a picture and sent it to Yenjika. He was severely despised. When he came back to his senses, he had finished everything. The portions of the food in this restaurant were not small. One serving was equivalent to 3 or 4 servings of Jiangnan province. Touching his bulging belly, Lu Qing felt warm all over. In the cold wind, he didn't need to wear a down jacket, not to mention a sweater that he hadn't worn since winter. After practicing martial arts, he was full of qi and blood. The tight long johns inside and the down jacket outside were enough for him. The new hotel had a new front desk. Although the room was not as good as the one in Lu Cheng's preview photo, it was not bad. The space was large, the furnishings were warm, the facilities were new, the carpet was thick, and more importantly, the broadband was fast. Lu Cheng lay on the bed and felt the beauty of relaxation. He felt that every cell in his body was screaming and singing. While chatting with Yenjika on his phone, he browsed the forum. As soon as he entered the live post, he saw Brahman, a junior high school girl, unparalleled Dragon King, Invincible Punch, Pig Riding Knight, a plumber eating mushroom, and others. You uncles came out and bullied me because I was young. How dare you lie to me? You said my new idol was only of amateur second or third pin and couldn't beat Uncle Arena. You said my new idol was still far away from professional ninth pin. You made me doubt him and didn't support him to win. Grandpa can bear it, but Grandma can't. You have to give me an explanation. Accompanying her questioning tone was an emoji of laughing with arms akimbo. Obviously, she was showing off for her new idol, Lu Cheng. Chapter 65. Influenced by Brahman's showing off and smugness, Lu Cheng was also a little complacent. He felt something called cool in his heart and couldn't wait to read everyone's replies. Beautiful world used ellipses and a sentence to express her feelings. This is not scientific. Outspoken was even more suspicious. Did Lu Cheng take some elixir? Otherwise, how could he beat Master Road? First, it's allowed by the rules. Second, is it worth 5,000 yuan for the top 16? Isn't it harmful to the body? Plumber eating mushrooms, retorted Outspoken. That's right. If I had the money to buy pills, why would I be ecstatic over 5,000 yuan? Lu Cheng nodded slightly. As the saying goes, one is marked by the company one keeps. Couples and boyfriends become more and more alike. He had unconsciously learned some of Yenjika's language habits. Unparalleled Dragon King appeared and said with a dazed expression, how do you explain? When I heard the news, I was King stunned. This is not reasonable. I paused for a long time before I remembered to watch the video of the match. I realized that although Master Road always had the upper hand and had a chance to win, the way he fought, how should I put it? He wasn't resolute enough and didn't fight hard enough. On the contrary, when Lu Cheng seized that short moment of opportunity, he fought with great momentum, decisiveness, and sharpness. It was as if he had put everything on the line. When two rivals meet on a narrow road, the brave wins. Pig Riding Knight also replied. In other words, he lost in the small arena because of his mentality. He made me look at his naked body without any reaction. Wonton seller, said the little girl. No Hooligan snickered and replied, you think Master Road's body is not as good as Little Fist's? No. I'm thinking about how he lost in the small arena. How did you lose? Wonton Seller sent a helpless emoji with its hands outstretched. Okamoto's fan said with tears in his eyes, "You bad guys. Yesterday, you were so confident in your discussion that I thought Master Road was going to win. So I bet on him. Today, I'm paralyzed at home, waiting for the rooftop." Really? Fake? Don't scare me. Wonton Seller replied quickly. Okamoto's fan said, "It's fake. But I lost a month's worth of cigarette money. I'm crying in the toilet." A plumber eating mushroom sighed and said, sighing expression, "Lu Cheng is really at the level of an amateur first-pin fighter. There isn't much of a gap between a fighter of this level and a professional ninth-pin fighter who has been neglected for a few years. Improvisation is more important. Mentality and willpower are more important." "Hee, thank you for the compliment, thank you for the compliment." Every reply made Lu Cheng burst with joy. This is what it means to be secretly happy. As he continued reading, the little girl, Brahman, jumped out again. She laughed and said, "Have you seen the reality?" "Oh, where are the photos?" Unparalleled Dragon King replied, "I think I saw a picture of the top 16 on the official website. I'll help you look for it." 10 seconds later, he appeared in the photo. Wearing the navy blue Longhu Club martial arts suit, Lu Cheng stood in the middle of the ring. The overhead lights seemed to cover him with a layer of brilliance. "When did you take this?" "Not bad." Lu Cheng was surprised at first, but then he was pleasantly surprised. This photo seemed to be taken by the official photographer after he defeated Zhou Yuaning. The angle was good, and he looked more handsome than usual. Never offend a photographer, he complained. He saved the photo and sent it to Yenjika. In his computer's hard drive, there was now a folder named, Yenling Martial Arts Journey. It was dedicated to storing videos, photos, and information related to this competition as a souvenir. Similarly, there was also a folder named, Yen. It was filled with saved voice recordings and exported chat records. To avoid losing them, he had made many copies of this folder and saved them on every drive. "Not bad. I almost didn't recognize it." Yenjika quickly replied with an expression of pushing up glasses. "I now believe in the photographer's magic of Photoshop and beautification. Without the latter too, I feel brand new." Lu Cheng snickered. "I found that you don't like to show your photos." Yenjika replied concisely, "Lazy, annoying, and bad photography skills, then I have to practice my photography skills. Maybe I can take photos that satisfy you." Lu Cheng said ambiguously. "Then you have to work hard." "If you make me look ugly, you know," Yenjika said in a lively tone. While they were chatting, Lu Cheng continued to read the replies. Brahman said, "Wow, my new idol is not bad. He seems to be a fan of the Longhu Club too. What a coincidence." Wonton Seller scratched her head and said, "Why does he look familiar?" "I think so too." Above the Sky posted a reply after a long time. "I remember." "Wait a minute." She quickly sent a link to a post. "Go and see. We watched the National University Martial Arts Competition program before. Look at the passerby at the beginning. Damn it, I even said that the silly little brother was quite cute at that time. When did I learn the supernatural ability to see the essence through appearances?" "What? What?" Brahman said with a cute emoji. "Let me see first." After a short while, Wonton Seller replied. "It's really that passerby young man. How did the kid who laughed foolishly and said he felt honored suddenly become a mysterious master who could defeat a professional ninth-pin fighter? Do you think it's because he's good at acting and pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Or is he really so silly that he became a master as soon as he got on the stage?" Above the Sky also expressed a mixture of shock and doubt. "So it's him." Unparalleled Dragon King couldn't hide his surprise. His performance at that time didn't seem to be fake. But he can't become a strong amateur first pin fighter in just 4 months, right? That's F*King unbelievable. It's possible. Maybe he has a supernatural ability. But a 4-month-old rookie fighter can defeat a bunch of masters. If Master Road knew, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. A plumber eating mushrooms replied. Unparalleled Dragon King still didn't believe it. I've checked and there's no information about him. Let me see if I can ask my classmates in Songqing University. In the midst of the shock, Brahman said with a laugh. I didn't expect that my new idol would have such a silly past. I want to preserve it. I want to appreciate it again and again. I want to make it into an emoji pack. If he really becomes a famous fighter in the future, this will be a black history, a stain in my life. Damn. She even dug up this. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched. He always felt that this black history of laughing passerby would accompany him for life. He spent the whole night browsing the forum, chatting with Yen Zhika, replying to the messages that he didn't have time to care about, and watching funny videos. He relaxed his body and mind as if he was on vacation. The next morning, after returning from training, Lu Qing still watched Yi Yaoting's competition videos to find relevant information. This was the habit of a fighter. No matter what, he couldn't lose too badly, right? As the Spring Festival was approaching, more and more units and companies were on holiday. The majority of the spectators who went to watch the challenge tournament at Yanling Martial Arts Stadium were no longer students on winter vacation. Somewhere in the stands, there were 2 girls. One of them was wearing the Iya Martial Arts School's training suit with a ponytail. She was looking around excitedly with a trumpet in her hand. The girl next to her was petite, perhaps only a little more than 1.5 meters tall. She had a pretty face and was engrossed in playing with her phone. Her ears were completely oblivious to what was happening outside. The girl with the ponytail turned around and saw that her companion was not interested in the atmosphere of the competition. She suddenly shouted, "Yan Shaoling!" The petite girl shivered instinctively and looked up at her companion blankly. What? Look at you. How many days have you been on holiday? Every day you stay in bed playing with your mobile phone. I asked you to go shopping with me, you didn't eat with me, and you didn't come to watch the martial arts competition with me. It's like you're glued to your bed. Other than eating, drinking, and going to the toilet, how many days have you stayed in bed? The girl with the ponytail said. Yan Shaoling glanced at her companion and whispered, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. Her voice was tender, like a child talking. 5, 6, 7, 8 days. What do you mean by staying in bed during the holidays? Don't you think it's a waste of life? The girl with the ponytail was angry from being stood up again and again. Yan Shaoling didn't dare to look at her. I think it's a waste of life if I don't stay in bed. You still dare to say that? What are you going to do in the future? How are you going to find a boyfriend? If you have the ability, you can marry a mobile phone or a bed. The girl with the ponytail was exasperated. She looked into the distance angrily and pretended to ignore her. Yan Shaoling saw that her companion's gaze had turned to another direction. She stole a glance and turned around. She muttered word by word, if it is possible. What did you say? The girl with the ponytail suddenly turned her head. I didn't say anything. Yan Xiaoling's eyes were bright. Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk to you. Remember to cheer for my senior sister Yi later. The girl with the ponytail sighed. Okay, Yan Xiaoling answered briskly. While the audience was waiting for the match, Yi Yaoting was exercising in one of the female locker rooms. Although you have no problem winning against Lu Cheng, don't be careless. Who knows what he will do next? Jiang Lan reminded her with a smile. In the morning match, she, Huang Zhenzhong, Li Xiaoyuan and Wang Yi were the first to enter the top 8. Don't worry, Sister Lan. I won't be careless at all. Thinking that a martial artist who has shocked everyone time and time again will be defeated by me, I feel very excited. Yi Yaoting answered excitedly. In a male locker room, Lu Cheng was holding his mobile phone. He sent a message to Yan Zhika with a smile on his face. Only 5 minutes left before I cry bitterly. He amused himself and others with self-deprecation. Ha, you can't lose too badly, or I'll pretend not to know you when I see the video, Yan Zhika replied with a magical expression of the pawn master. I'll try my best. Lu Cheng replied with a smile. After a while, he didn't log out of QQ. He put away his mobile phone, pushed open the door of the locker room and walked to the center ring. Before he got close, he saw Yi Yaoting waiting there. Her pink and white figure was as straight as a spear. Chapter 66. Handing the phone to the competition supervisor, Lu Cheng walked up the stone steps to the arena. Before he could stand still, his eyes were blinded by the flashes of the cameras. It seemed that many cameras were recording the scene just now. I thought the big boss would appear at the last moment. Lu Cheng was relaxed and made a joke during the conversation. To be honest, he was a little surprised that Yi Yaoting was waiting for him instead of him. It was not in line with her usual style. Yi Yaoting tied up her hair, showing her smooth forehead. She chuckled and said, "Are you implying that you are the big boss? You can say that. After all, the big boss will be defeated by the protagonist." Lu Cheng answered with a smile, but in his heart, he was complaining about himself. This should be the state of mind of winning and being happy even if losing. The only problem was that he could only lose and not win. You are quite good at talking. Yi Yaoting was quite surprised, but soon her pretty face became serious. You made me lose 1,000 yuan. Ah. Lu Cheng was confused. What is this about? I bet on you to lose yesterday. Yi Yaoting's serious face suddenly showed a smile. But I don't care about that anymore. After I found out that my opponent was you, I felt full of motivation. There is nothing more exciting than defeating a martial artist who rises quickly. This is also to increase your life experience, so that you won't become arrogant and suffer more setbacks in the future. Lu Cheng was not moved at all by her deliberately old-fashioned words. He even wanted to laugh. According to the information, she should be the same age as him, but she directly chose the road of martial arts and did not go to college, just like most of the professional martial artists. Because of this, people like Peng Liyun, Ren Li, Lin Ke, and Li Xiaoyuan were the center of attention in the martial arts circle in college. Speaking in this tone at her age, didn't she feel that it was too obvious that she was acting? I think I have always been modest and never arrogant. Lu Cheng tried to make his eyes look sincere. Yi Yaoting did not expect him to be so good-tempered. She could not continue with the planned provocation, so she bit her lips and said, "Anyway, I will let you know the gap between you and a real professional ninth pin fighter. I am looking forward to it." Lu Cheng smiled and showed 8 teeth. His expression was leisurely, without any emotion. He stopped talking and began to put away his distracting thoughts. He adjusted his body and moved his muscles slightly, pushing the state away bit by bit. Although the gap between him and his opponent was indeed very large, and he had already tacitly agreed to lose, since he had stepped onto the arena, he had to give it his all and display everything he had learned. He had to live up to the name of a martial artist. Time passed quickly. The referee raised his right hand and swung it down heavily. Begin. Before he could finish his words, the surrounding stands burst into cheers and shouts. The names of Yi Yaoting and Lu Cheng reverberated throughout the martial arts arena. "Senior Sister Yi, you can do it." A girl with a ponytail imitated Yi Yaoting's style and screamed loudly. Yan Shaoling, a girl with a childish face and a childish voice, was arranged to blow a small trumpet, exactly like the elementary school students around her. Like a cheetah, Yi Yaoting instantly turned from a standstill to a sprint. She closed the distance between them in 2 or 3 steps and was about to raise her body like a fierce tiger waving its claws. Lu Cheng knew that she not only had extraordinary strength, but also had an explosive unique skill, so he did not face her head-on. Instead, he shifted his center of gravity, bounced his waist and back, and shot to the side like lightning. As a professional ninth pin fighter, Yi Yaoting had already mastered meditation in order to reach the Danqi stage. Although she had not fully mastered it, she also practiced martial arts similar to yin-yang stance and lightning and fire stance. Seeing that Lu Qing dodged, she twisted her waist and back, adjusted her muscles, and easily changed her direction in high speed. She directly chased behind Lu Qing without any sluggishness or difficulty, which made those who knew martial arts admire her. Her speed was much faster than Lu Qing. In a breath, Lu Qing heard the movement symbolizing danger. He was shocked and immediately took a step to the left. As soon as he took a step, his spine was like a dragon waking up, suddenly bouncing and pulling back his muscles. He forcibly changed his direction and dodged to the right, trying to get rid of Yi Yaoting. Yi Yaoting kicked out her left foot, which seemed to have been shaken by Lu Qing. However, her whole leg suddenly straightened and hit the ground, creating an oblique recoil force. She twisted her body and caught up with Lu Qing in a flash. She raised her right arm and threw a downward punch, which sounded like a tiger's roar, majestic and awe-inspiring. Facing such a blow, it was too late for Lu Qing to shift his center of gravity, so he had to lower his body quickly and throw a diagonal punch with his right fist like a giant hammer. In his mind, he had already imagined the scene of lightning falling from the sky and igniting a prairie fire. His whole body seemed to be surging with hot currents. Yi Yaoting's extraordinary strength and explosive power were still fresh in his memory, so he did not dare to be careless. Bang! In a muffled sound, Lu Qing blocked Yi Yaoting's attack, but his body seemed to be hit by a giant tree. From his arms to the tips of his feet, he was slightly trembling. His center of gravity was shaken and he could not adjust his body for a while, feeling the suppression of strength. Yi Yaoting had already twisted her waist and back, twisting the strength of her whole body into one. She tightened her thighs and pulled out with a snap, sweeping toward Lu Qing's leg with a sharp wind. Lu Qing took a breath and quickly adjusted his muscles. He tightened his left leg and lifted it out, suddenly using the abrupt force to block Yi Yaoting's whip kick. In the sound of a snap, he only felt a pain in his calf bone. Although he was not injured, he couldn't wait to rub it. But reality did not give him the chance. Just as he steadied himself, Yi Yaoting punched him again. It was like a cannon that could open a mountain, but also like a fierce hammer. The crisp sound seemed to explode in his ears. When his left foot landed on the ground, Lu Qing's mind was struck by lightning and the snow-capped peak collapsed. He hurriedly raised his hands and barely blocked this punch. But under the explosion of strength, his body trembled again, like a person hiding in an ancient bell. Although the bell ringer outside did not directly hit him, after a loud bang, he was attacked by shock waves in all directions. He seemed to be on the verge of collapse and dizziness. Yi Yaoting seized the upper hand and did not let him go. She opened her arms and continuously slashed like a tiger, constantly scratching and beating. It was not beautiful, but it was absolutely terrifying. Bang, bang, bang. Lu Qing continued to parry with the mega avalanche and the lightning and fire stance. His physical strength had been exhausted after the first few blows. His Jindan began to rotate slowly, releasing a stream of heat to soothe his fatigue and provide him with an endless supply of energy. Only then could he barely hold on. In the stands, Jiang Lan was drinking yogurt. She was not moved by this situation at all. She only felt that it was natural. Waves of cheers were louder and louder in her ears. It seemed that with each hit of Yi Yaoting, the cheers were getting crazier and crazier. The enthusiasm seemed to break through the dome. Bang! 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 In the shouts one after another, Yi Yaoting attacked crazily. Lu Cheng's arms began to hurt and he gradually felt that he was out of breath. He was really out of breath. What a ferocious attack! Lu Cheng's chest was tight and he was about to be unable to resist. At this time, Yi Yaoting took a step back and immediately bounced forward. Her arms took advantage of the forward momentum and launched cannon punches at the same time. She wanted to overturn Lu Cheng with this attack. This was what it meant to oppress people with strength. Lu Cheng, who kept squeezing the Jindan for support, seemed to have reached a limit. His chest was so tight that it felt like it was drowned. He couldn't take a breath or release the strength. He could barely hold up his arms and couldn't effectively defend. However, his mind was calm, like the strange peace before suffocation. Only the visualized snow continued to roll down and collapse. At this time, he inexplicably looked into the Jindan in his lower abdomen. He saw that the bright and dreamy nebula suddenly expanded. Little ice crystals left the track and flew out of the ball, connecting with the visualized picture in his mind. That was hundreds of millions of pounds of snow falling from the towering peaks. That was a white torrent that could drown all traces of life. Changes happened after the limit. The rolling cold tides suddenly broke out and surged in Lu Cheng's body. The momentum seemed to be able to tear his internal organs apart, forcing him to change from a fight to a fight and launch a punch. Bang! The snow mountain collapsed. Everything was white. Lu Cheng blocked 2 punches with his whip and collided with Yi Yaoting's attack. Bang! With a muffled sound, 2 figures separated. It was Yi Yaoting who retreated. In the stands, Jiang Lan, Li Xiaoyuan and the others stood up suddenly. The audience was silent. Lu Cheng saw Yi Yaoting's shocked expression, but he couldn't control the avalanche torrent in his body. He took a step forward and compressed all his muscles. In an instant, he launched a blast punch with his left hand. Yi Yaoting hurriedly stabilized her center of gravity and blocked the blow with a horizontal hammer. Just as they collided, she took a step back with her left foot to neutralize some of the force. She still remembered the previous collision and felt that the strength was much stronger than her. Therefore, although she was shocked, she didn't dare to underestimate him anymore. How could this be? Where did he get such terrifying strength? He was forced into such a situation. How could he burst out such strength like a primitive giant beast? Bang! Yi Yaoting's arm went numb. She couldn't neutralize all the force by taking a step back, so she had to take another step back. But before she could stand firm, her eyes reflected the image of Lu Cheng approaching her and hitting her sideways with his elbow. Yi Yaoting took a short breath. In her mind, she thought of a flood breaking through a dam. She bounced forward instead of retreating. She burst out all the strength in her body and hit Lu Cheng hard. Bang! The sound of the collision was much louder than before, and it seemed to reverberate in the hearts of every spectator, causing them to involuntarily tremble. Yi Yaoting blocked the blow, but her body was trembling as if she was having a cold war. In the horrified eyes of the audience, Lu Cheng took advantage of the situation and hit her hard with a whip punch. She directly opened her stance. The avalanche momentum was unstoppable. The cold current in Lu Cheng's body dissipated a lot, but there was still some left. The muscles of his left leg tightened. He was about to launch a whip kick to defeat Yi Yaoting completely. At this moment, his body was pressed and trembled, which made him lose his momentum. He turned his head and found the referee. The referee raised his right hand and announced loudly, "Lu Cheng wins." Lu Cheng wins. All this was so dreamy and so fake, even in Lu Cheng's eyes. Yi Yaoting didn't stop trembling. She smiled bitterly with some fear, "So I'm not the protagonist." Lu Cheng didn't answer because he felt like he was going to die. The cold dissipated. The Jindan was out of balance and threw out a few flames, which made him feel like he was burning. His forehead was hot and his cheeks were abnormally red. "Thanks for the match." He spat out 2 words with difficulty. He took back his phone and hurried back to the locker room, leaving thousands of people in silence and professional martial artists who were like stone statues. In the locker room, Lu Cheng went into the bathroom, put away his phone, took off his clothes and turned on the cold water. The cold water sprinkled on the surface of his body, but Lu Cheng's burning heat didn't diminish at all. This reminded him of the burnt black carp, which made him groan in pain. "Damn, this backfire is too horrible." Will I die here? Chapter 67. The showerhead kept spewing out cold water, chilling him to the bone and heart. In the dead of winter, it was enough to make any normal person retreat. However, in Lu Cheng's senses, it was like a life-saving straw that could slightly extinguish the burning in him. He only felt that his body was hot and dry. His lungs were like bellows. Every breath was like spurting flames. His head was getting hotter and hotter, and his consciousness was getting more and more blurred. He instinctively curled up and put his body completely in the range of the cold water. In the small cabinet next to him, his mobile phone flashed. The locked screen showed that there was a message, temporarily illuminating the darkness. In the martial arts hall outside the locker room, the strange silence continued. No one dared to believe their own eyes, and no one was willing to doubt their own common sense. The ignorant children were affected by the surrounding situation. They subconsciously felt scared and didn't dare to play with things like the trumpet anymore. Jiang Lan stood in the guest seat, looking at Yi Yaoding, who was still trembling. Her eyes were full of astonishment and shock. The yogurt bottle in her hand was almost crushed by her. In yesterday's battle, Lu Qing defeating Zhou Yuaning was within her expectation. It could only be said that it was slightly beyond her expectation. But the battle just now had really subverted her cognition. With her martial arts experience and insight, the possibility of Lu Qing defeating Yi Yaoding was only 1%. And this was based on the premise that Yi Yaoding was not in a good state, arrogant and careless. But the reality taught her a lesson. Did he take some elixir or a newly developed foreign stimulant? No, if so, he wouldn't have fallen into an absolute disadvantage at the beginning. He would not have been beaten by Yi Yaoding until he was on the verge of defeat. Countless thoughts flashed through her mind. She saw Yi Yaoding's lonely figure leaving the ring and walking to the female locker room. She sighed with concern in her eyes. Without thinking about anything else, she rushed to comfort her best friend. Seeing Jiang Lan hurriedly passing by in front of them, Wang Yi and Li Xiaoyuan, the two stone bodhisattvas, finally came to their senses. This is not right. Wang Yi muttered to himself with a fluctuating expression. If Lu Qing could break out such a horrible fighting force in a desperate situation, how could he beat him before? But everything in front of them wasn't an illusion. Yi Yaoding had obviously tried her best and wasn't faking it. The power that Lu Qing displayed was so real in the eyes of professional martial artists like them. It was as if they were witnessing the arrival of an avalanche, making them shudder. I don't think that makes sense either. Li Xiaoyuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Wang Yi took a deep breath and showed a thoughtful expression. What do you think happened? Li Xiaoyuan thought about it seriously and said, according to the third-rate novels I've read, Lu Qing must have broken through himself under pressure in a desperate situation and awakened some amazing supernatural ability. It's possible. Wang Yi was silent for a few seconds before nodding slightly. Li Xiaoyuan's mouth twitched. I'm just kidding, it's really possible. Wang Yi looked at him seriously. For a moment, Li Xiaoyuan was actually speechless. With his senses blurred, Lu Qing felt that everything around him had become extremely distant and could no longer be touched. All the movements seemed to come from the sky, so ethereal that they disappeared in a flash. Flames seemed to be surging in his body, boiling his blood and burning his internal organs, which made him so uncomfortable and so unbearable. Most of the thoughts faded away like a tide, leaving only a few struggling to hold on and on the verge of fainting. Am I really going to die? No. I have to get up and go to see a doctor. I can't die here. Hallucinatory scenes kept appearing in his mind. There was the carefree happiness when he was young, the suffering of family difficulties when he started studying, the heartache when he looked at his mother's tired back, the sadness when he heard that his father was wronged outside, and the ecstasy when Yan Zhika cheered for him for the first time. Suddenly, the phone rang and the small cabinet kept vibrating. It seemed that someone was worried and anxious far away. Lu Qing heard the sound, but it was like a nightmare. No matter how hard he struggled, he was still curled up under the cold water. Am I really going to die here? In the women's locker room, Yi Yaoting sat quietly on the bench. Her tied hair was messy and hung down on both sides, covering her expression. Only a pair of black and white eyes that were blank and lost could be seen. Her body was still slightly trembling. Jiang Lan just walked in and saw such a scene. She was slightly distressed and said, "Something must have happened to that guy." "It's not your problem." Yi Yaoting raised her head, her black hair falling back, and her pale cheeks showing traces of green. She said in confusion, "I'm not sad." While speaking, she unbuttoned her tight sleeves and rolled them up, exposing her arms to Jiang Lan. There was a thin layer of white frost condensing there. The real white frost was evaporating. This. Jiang Lan sucked in a cold breath. In the stands, the weird, wide-range silence finally began to ease. Some people were cheering loudly, some were venting loudly, some were muttering to themselves, and some were cursing and swearing, thinking that Yi Yaoting and Lu Cheng were cooperating with the bookmakers to fake the fight. Yan Xiaoling, a girl with a childish face and a childish voice, looked at the arena with her mouth half open, still in a daze. The ponytailed girl recovered from the great shock and loss. She turned her head and saw her best friend's expression. She said in a bad mood, "Why are you opening your mouth so wide? I really want to put a piece of sh*t in your mouth." "Ah." Yan Xiaoling suddenly closed her mouth, looking confused. "Ah, senior sister Yi lost, senior sister Yi actually lost." The ponytailed girl whispered sadly to herself. Seeing this, Yan Xiaoling secretly turned her head and looked in the opposite direction, whispering to herself, "So fierce, so violent, so handsome. No, my maiden heart is acting up." She looked at the service desk, planning to ask for the details of the boy just now and go home to download his competition video and related news. As a member of the Squirrel Gang, collecting, classifying and saving is instinct. In the reporters' seats, someone finally woke up and showed an abnormal excitement, writing quickly, "The Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament is the biggest upset since the start of the tournament. The mysterious expert Lu Cheng is a dark hand." As if suffering for a long time, Lu Cheng felt a little better and had a clear perception of the surroundings and the outside world. He struggled to stand up, but found that he was still weak all over. His forehead and cheeks were still hot, but the burning feeling in his body was slowly dissipating. "I almost died." He turned off the tap and thought with lingering fear, "Fortunately, I didn't test the limit when I was training my endurance." He felt that he had been suffering for several days and nights, but when he moved to the cabinet, he found that only 20 minutes had passed. He picked up his phone and found that there were more than a dozen missed calls from Yan Zhika. She called almost every minute. She must be worried about losing contact after the competition. Lu Cheng felt a burst of joy for no reason, as if he understood Yan Zhika's anxiety for him. This was an indescribable feeling, and the discomfort in his body seemed to be relieved a little. He struggled to dry his body, put on his underwear, and quickly called Yan Zhika back. "Hello, Cheng." Yan Zhika's voice was obviously anxious. "It's me." Lu Cheng felt that his voice was unbelievably hoarse. Yan Zhika was obviously relieved. "Fortunately, it's you. I was afraid that it would be an emergency call. You scared me to death, you know. Why didn't you answer the phone?" Her voice trembled as if she was about to cry. Lu Cheng was suddenly moved, his eyes slightly red, and his heart filled with joy. He said honestly, "I almost fainted just now. I just got over it. I thought I was imagining things. You didn't reply to my message just now, so I watched the video first. I found that your last outburst was too terrifying. I thought something must have happened to you, so I called you immediately. But you didn't answer. I was worried that you might have fainted and been sent to the emergency room. Or maybe you were just lying in the corner without anyone noticing. I was so worried that I even wanted to call the organizer. Yenjika said in one breath. Her voice was a little hoarse, not as soft and clear as usual. Fortunately, I got over it. Don't worry. Lu Qing comforted Yenjika, his heart filled with warmth. Yenjika exhaled and said, It's good that you got over it. How do you feel now? I feel like I'm sick and have a fever. Lu Qing answered honestly. Then why are you still on the phone? Go see a doctor. Yenjika yelled fiercely. Lu Qing didn't feel that he was being yelled at. Instead, he felt inexplicably happy. Yes, Ma, am. Talk to you later. Go. Yenjika urged him. After hanging up the phone, Lu Qing put on his coat, packed up a little, and walked to the emergency room. His feet were weak, as if he was walking on clouds. His head was dizzy, and his forehead and cheeks were still hot. Lu Qing, Songqing University student, 18 years old, no rank. Wow, no rank. Yan Shaoling looked at the detailed information in her hand and kept exclaiming. The ponytail girl rolled her eyes. I told you about him before, but you didn't listen at all. Hee. Yan Shaoling laughed, but didn't dare to answer. What do you want to do with Lu Cheng's information? The ponytail girl asked in confusion. Yan Shaoling nodded hard. I kind of admire him. He was so cool and awesome just now. I want to set up a personal forum and post bar for him. I want to be his first fan. I want to go to Songqing University. You're talking as if you can get in if you want to, you little love-struck fool. The ponytail girl calmed down and joked. In the emergency room, the doctor checked the thermometer and then looked at Lu Cheng as if he was looking at a monster. You beat Yi Yaoting with a fever of 40 degrees, I'll give you an antipyretic injection and physical cooling, in case you become a fool from the fever, Lu Cheng answered weakly, I got a high fever from the beating. Ha, don't joke. The doctor laughed. I'm not joking. Lu Cheng was speechless. Chapter 68. On the central ring, the singing and dancing performances were in full swing. However, the audience's reaction was quite indifferent, as if they were still immersed in the previous match. Zheng and the others didn't completely recover until now. They looked at each other and found the remaining shock in each other's eyes. Every time I thought I knew Lu Cheng's limit, but every time I saw him break it. One of the companions said incoherently. Yeah, every time there is a surprise, every time there is a shock. It reminds me of the days when the Warrior Sage and the Dragon King debuted. Zheng rubbed his forehead. His companions sighed with emotion. In the end, they gave Zheng a thumbs up, praising him for his good foresight. He had found Lu Cheng, the dark horse that couldn't be darker, and had always maintained his confidence and never wavered. Ha, Zheng, you bet again, right? How much did you win? Shouldn't you treat us to a meal? One of his companions joked. Zheng's face changed slightly and he smiled bitterly. I bet Yi Yaoting would win, ah. His companions looked at Zheng with a funny and surprised expression. Zheng sighed. I'm not a fortune teller. Before the match, who the hell would have thought that Lu Cheng would beat Yi Yaoting? He couldn't help but curse, venting the various emotions in his heart. Lu Cheng had no idea what the audience outside was like. He was lying on the bed in the emergency room with a normal saline drip, waiting for the doctor to check whether his fever had subsided. He held the phone in his right hand and turned on the camera function. He took a picture of his left hand in the drip and then logged into QQ and sent it to Yenjika with a pitiful emoji. I haven't experienced it in 5 or 6 years. Lu Cheng had been healthy since he was a child, especially after he started to develop. He only had a small cold and fever which could be cured quickly with some medicine. There was no need for injections or drips. He hadn't experienced the feeling of being pricked for many years. Yenjika replied with an emoji wiping cold sweat. I just had a drip last year, but it's much better than when I was a child. Before I started practicing martial arts, I had to go to the hospital every 2 or 3 weeks. It took me 3 years to get healthy. You haven't seen my pictures in junior high school and elementary school. I was so sick. Now I'm barely catching up to the standard of a normal person. I really want to see your junior high school and elementary school photos. You must be very, very cute. Lu Cheng's dizziness didn't stop him from flirting with her again. TSK, you're still exaggerating when you're on an 4 drip. How do you feel now? Yenjika asked with concern. Lu Cheng thought for a while and pressed the keyboard with one hand. My fever seems to have subsided a little. It's not that hot anymore. But my body is very weak and my head is very dizzy. Yenjika giggled, hello, Lu Dayu. After that, she asked with a bright eyes emoji, oh right, what happened when you were competing with Yi Yaoting? How could he erupt with such power? She seemed to have been holding back this question for a long time. After confirming that Lu Cheng was getting better, she finally asked. Lu Cheng had been thinking about how to explain this matter to Yenjika. At this time, he sent an emoji of shaking his head with a fist clenched and tears running down his face. I didn't want this to happen. It was all an accident. At that time, I just wanted to lose in a decent way, so I tried my best to hold on. I kept squeezing my body and held on for as long as I could. As you know, my physical strength is at an abnormal level. I have never reached my limit. But this time, I finally reached my limit. Then, I felt like something inside my body had exploded. A terrible power broke out, forcing me to attack and defeat Yi Yaoting. When this power was released, I felt that my whole body was hollowed out. I almost fainted on the spot. You can see that at the end of the video, my face should be very ugly or abnormally flushed. Most of what he said was true. He just replaced the Jindan with physical strength to cover it up. Yenjika sent an emoji of knocking on the head and scolding. You won't die if you don't ask for it. People develop their talents and supernatural abilities step by step, for fear of losing control. Just like Wang Xiaoshuang, the disciple with supernatural abilities in Daxing Temple, who burned down several houses because he lost control of his supernatural ability. That was why he was sent to Daxing Temple to meditate and control his mind. Why did you push your physical strength to the limit? Now you know the consequences, right? I know. Coach Yen is right. With this experience, I won't do it again. Lu Cheng was full of warmth after being scolded, so he quickly agreed. It was really a happy thing to feel the concern of the girl he loved. And with this experience of almost dying, he really didn't dare to affect the Jindan like this again. He had to find a better and safer way to digest it. Yenjika sent an emoji of a cat holding a dried fish. It's good that you understand. I'll see if I can get some information from my grandpa on how to develop talents or supernatural abilities step by step. If it doesn't work, you can only turn to Coach Shi. He seems to have a strong background. He must know something. Coach Yen is so nice. Lu Cheng replied with an emoji of an evil smile. He felt his eyelids were heavy and tiredness kept surging. He wanted to sleep like this, so he added, if I don't reply later, I must be too tired to sleep. Don't worry. Humph, I'm not worried. I was just scared by you. Yenjika used an emoji of a stunned dog to talk about her previous feelings. At first, when you were suppressed by Yi Yaoting, I thought it was quite normal. I was thinking about how to make fun of you while watching. But then you suddenly exploded. It was like completing the Super Saiyan transformation. I was so surprised that I couldn't blink for a long time. When I came back to myself, I began to feel that something was wrong. This is not a manga. How can such an explosion not cost anything? So I called you immediately. Lu Cheng felt weak and tired, so his typing speed naturally slowed down. After reading this message, before he could type a few words, Yenjika continued with an emoji of a sighing onion. Poor Miss Yi. She must have suffered a big blow. Who would have thought that she would lose? Even you. Life is full of surprises. I've completed a small miracle. The fund to treat you to a big meal is increased by 10,000 yuan. Thinking of the beautiful result, Lu Cheng's mood became better. Then I'll eat you out of money. Yan Zhika used a cute emoji of a bowl of noodles. I'll let you eat for a lifetime. Lu Cheng replied silently. By the way, Cheng, did you get a ticket? Yan Zhika changed the topic and mentioned the urgent matter related to Lu Cheng's return home. Lu Cheng suddenly woke up. Damn, I almost forgot about this. You don't have the energy to wait for a ticket in your current condition. Give me your ID number. I'll help you get it. Yan Zhika sent a praise me emoji. Lu Cheng was ecstatic and said hurriedly, Yan Zhika is so beautiful and kind. Give me your Alipay account number. I'll transfer the ticket money to you first. If it's not enough, I'll give you more. After chatting for a while, he fell asleep unconsciously. All kinds of strange and unusual scenes flashed in his dream, but they all passed quickly without leaving any trace. When Lu Cheng woke up, it was almost 5 o'clock. His head was still a little dizzy and his body was still weak, but his fever had almost subsided. His forehead and cheeks were no longer burning. This is the 10,000 yuan prize for the quarterfinals. The organizer sent it directly after knowing that you were here. The doctor handed over a stack of 100 yuan notes. Lu Cheng exhaled and scratched his head. I forgot about it. Sorry to trouble you. You're welcome. Your opponent in the quarterfinals is Bai Song. Do your best and create another miracle. The doctor clenched his fist and waved his arm. Lu Cheng was stunned. After taking a taxi back to the hotel, Lu Cheng had no appetite at all. After taking the medicine, he lay on the bed and chatted with Yan Zhika for a while. Then he fell asleep again. He slept until 7:30 the next morning, missing the morning exercise for the first time. His head was clear again, as if he had finally walked out of a serious illness. He first tried to meditate and check his body internally to see if there were any hidden problems. Then he logged on QQ and saw Yan Zhika's proud emoji pushing up her glasses. I got a ticket for you. It's 11:40. You should be in time for the match. But I don't think you can compete. You were so sick yesterday. Coach Yan is so straightforward. I guess I have to give up. Lu Cheng replied with a wronged emoji. Yan Zhika said in a daze, how's your body? My fever is completely gone. I also feel hungry, but my muscles are still very sore. I don't have much strength. I can barely carry my luggage and walk, let alone compete. Lu Cheng felt like he was suffering from a minor illness after a major illness was gone. Currently, he was showing symptoms of a cold. Good, good. You predicted that you would lose yesterday. It's very decent that you can hold on until today. Yan Zhika comforted him. After chatting for a while, Lu Cheng got up and washed up. He saw his haggard face in the mirror. He looked at himself for a minute and suddenly raised his right hand. He rubbed his thumb and index finger and a small flame appeared. This was the result of his introspection. He found that the remaining heat of the Jindan flame seemed to have completely integrated into his body. Of course, the power was small and useless. This is nothing. Lu Cheng smiled and said to himself in the mirror, congratulations, you've awakened the supernatural ability lighter. A supernatural ability that can only light a cigarette. He blew out the flickering flame with a puff of air. However, he could use it to surprise Yan Zhika with a magic show or something. Anyway, everyone was used to supernatural abilities. Yan Zhika had experienced what had happened to him yesterday, so she should be mentally prepared for the awakening of supernatural abilities. After packing his luggage, Lu Cheng put on his backpack and checked out at the front desk. He then took a taxi to Yanling Martial Arts Club. Is your supervisor here? He asked the girl at the reception desk, Ling Ning. Ling Ning was confused. Why do you want to see the supervisor? Her eyes were full of awe, not as lively and friendly as before. A martial artist who could defeat Yi Yaoding under the age of 20 always seemed so unreachable. Lu Qing thanked her for her support and said with a smile, I used the secret method to stimulate my potential in yesterday's battle and got backfired. I couldn't take it anymore and had to give up. Oh, I see. Ling Ning's eyes were full of realization as if she had solved the biggest doubt in her heart. Then she led Lu Qing to the supervisor. You want to give up? The supervisor seemed to have expected this and asked calmly. Lu Qing repeated his explanation and said at the end, if I can fight, I'm willing to give it a try. The person in charge of the competition chuckled. Yesterday, when I saw you in the emergency room, I already guessed that this would be the result. Of course, according to the procedure, I still have to find someone to check on you. I can't just believe whatever you say, right? He called 2 masters in the Danqi state, including Lu Zuanyu's head bodyguard, Old Sheng. They gave Lu Qing a rough check and confirmed his physical condition. Carrying his luggage, Lu Qing walked to the gate of the martial arts club. When he was about to step out, he suddenly had an inexplicable feeling. This gate was the gate to becoming a real martial artist. The first time he stepped in here and the one who was about to leave completely changed him. He looked back at the martial arts club again and again. In his mind flashed all the matches and cheers he had experienced, and the glorious road he had stepped on again and again. Yanling, one of the most important stations in life. The sentimental feeling lingered in his heart. Lu Qing was still immersed in it until he got into a taxi. Hey, are you leaving now? Don't you want to watch the rest of the matches? The taxi driver was a very talkative uncle. He asked casually. Lu Qing was a very polite person. Although he didn't want to chat, he still replied, I have to go home. If I don't go back, I'll be scolded. It's been a few days. He swiped his thumb to unlock his phone and thought about what he should do next. Yan Zhika had to practice martial arts in the morning and couldn't chat. What a pity. The rest of the matches will be more exciting than the last. The middle-aged driver said excitedly, let me tell you something. There is a dark horse in this competition. He is very powerful. His name is Lu Qing. He even defeated Yi Yaoding from Yi Martial Arts Club. Maybe he can make another surprise today and defeat Bai Song. Let me tell you, I bet a lot of money on him. He's going to make a fortune. Lu Qing was dumbfounded and quietly released his fingers. He had just opened his contact list and was about to call Gizershur. Hey, what's wrong with you? The driver uncle glanced at him. Lu Qing forced a smile and said, I'm not feeling well, I'd better call him when I get to the train station. In a relatively clean bedroom, Yan Xiaoling woke up. Yesterday, she was dragged by her best friend to go shopping. When she came back, she was so tired that she didn't do what she had planned. Now it was time to start. She searched and found that the name Lu Qing was very rare. There was no personal post bar or forum. So she clicked to create a new forum where there were many forums such as Longhu Club. She chose the category, Martial Artist. Forum name, Lu Qing. Nature, Personal. A series of information appeared in front of Yan Xiaoling. She skimmed through it and smiled in a low voice, hey, I'll be the first fan. After that, she pressed the blue box. Start creating. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.